Chapter 1045. Queen of Thorns, Ship. Gu Qingshan was talking to Lola. The little girl was very cautious, afraid that Gu Qingshan would chase her away. Because of that, the two of them were still separated by the door, which was surrounded by thousands of Dao technique. Since the fleet has been mobilized, does that mean the Soul Shrieker will be stopped for a while? Gu Qingshan asked. That's right, those offensive artifacts should be able to rain down for about half a day, so it probably won't be able to catch up during that time, Lola replied. Have the arrangements been made for the fleet to retreat? Gu Qingshan asked out of concern. Everything has been arranged. The final wave of interception will be triggered by a trap-like offensive artifact. The fleet will be able to easily retreat, Lola pridefully continued. Now that the Soul Shrieker has lost its mount and has been beaten up for half a day, it probably won't be able to catch up to us, Gu Qingshan replied. This method can only be used once, and the Soul Shrieker seems to be able to sense the Order's location, so it will catch up to us sooner or later. That's a matter for the future. Lola snorted and said, Let's not be careless, we need to move forward at full speed to reach Riddle World as soon as possible, Gu Qingshan said. This Empress is personally piloting the ship today. Don't worry, Lola told her. Gu Qingshan nodded and returned to the deck of the ship. Not too long later, Boss opened his eyes and sat up from the floor. How long did I sleep for? He asked. Yi Feili gave him a bottle of Soul Points drink and replied. 3 hours. Boss received the drink, opened it, and drank it all at once. He looked around. Gu Qingshan, Zhang Yongho, and Yi Feili were all sitting next to him. The ship was steadily moving through the space vortex. Seems like the Soul Shrieker hasn't caught up yet. That's good news, please give me another drink. Here, Boss opened the bottle and gulped it down in large gulps. Gu Qingshan asked, How are you now? Boss held the second can in his hand and wiped the corner of his mouth. It was a good sleep. I won't fall into a deep sleep for the time being. If you can give me more of this drink, I'll probably recover some of my strength. Regaining strength. This person was very knowledgeable and experienced. Just what kind of strength did he possess? As Gu Qingshan pondered, she gestured to Yi Feili. Do you have enough soul power? Yi Feili said, Don't worry, I prepared according to the upper limit before we set off. He used his ability to create another Soul Points drink and gave it to Boss. The boss didn't act pretentious at all. He took it and drank it in one gulp. Yi Feili immediately handed him another one. Boss finished it again. After 25 cans. Yi Feili was breathing heavily. I need to rest for a bit, Boss sighed and said in satisfaction, Thank you. That's about it for today, drinking any more would be a waste. I can't recover all of a sudden. Once I'm well rested, let me know if you need anything else, Yi Feili said. Boss glanced at him and nodded in satisfaction. He stood up, walked up to the railing, and stared at the void of space outside. The Queen of Thorns' ship was flying in a long arc, constantly adjusting its direction. The entrance to various strange worlds could no longer be seen outside. The entire void of space was dark, but one could still vaguely tell that this was a large and spacious circular passage that allowed the ship to move forward in a certain direction. But they couldn't tell the direction at all. It seems like we're on a secret route? Boss asked. Yes, this is a secret route used by smugglers, Zhang Yongho replied. Where are we heading to? Boss asked again. Gu Qingshan replied. Riddle World, I have something crucial that I need to look for there. Lola just so happened to have a ship, and Zhang Yongho provided her with a secret route. As a hitman, Zhang Yongho naturally had his own ways to survive in the 900 million world layers for so long. Not to mention, Riddle World was quite famous among the underground organizations. A thoughtful look appeared on Boss' face. That world. I remember that it's a place that the people of the underground world use to dispose of stolen goods. It's very difficult to find. Are you sure that world will be of help to our next battle? I'm sure, Gu Qingshan replied. The Earth Creator can peek into the future. It has made a lot of preparations. It must have something it wants to tell me. Boss asked. All right, how's the order? The Demon King order is constantly telling me to run away, Gu Qingshan replied. Hearing that, Boss laid back down on the deck of the ship and lazily said, If everything is going smoothly, I'm going to rest a bit more. Call me if you need anything. Jang Young-ho took out a map and said, There's a supply station up ahead. We'll pass through it and reach Riddle World in about half a day. Everyone went back to rest. Yi Fei was playing a game. Boss was very interested and seriously watched from one side. Gu Qingshan and Jang Young-ho were drinking and chatting about their experiences over the past year. Is chaos really, like you said, a personal support power? Jang Young-ho asked with interest. That's right, it's very interesting, but there are too many unknowns about it. I still haven't fully figured it out yet, Gu Qingshan replied. If that's the case, I'd like to try it out if I have the chance. After all, I'm quite weak right now and need to replenish my strength, Jang Young-ho replied. Gu Qingshan reminded him. Be careful of the Soul Shrieker, it's the envoy of chaos, so it might have a way to counter it. Jang Young-ho lowered his voice and asked, Right, why do you want to go to Riddle World? I once received a chance to enter Riddle World. There might be some things that my seniors left for me, but I was entangled with someone at the time so I couldn't go, Gu Qingshan replied. Jang Young-ho smiled. Things? That's a place where everything can be found and sold. I'm not too familiar with that world. It's actually quite simple. Everyone in the underground world is afraid of being betrayed, so Riddle World became the default trading world for everyone. It's a very prosperous place. A trading world? I've been to a black market world called Drifting Sand World, Gu Qingshan replied. Riddle World is the best black market there is, Jang Young-ho replied. What's so good about it? Does it have some sort of protection from the laws? That's right, a strict law was set up in Riddle World. While in that world, as long as anyone keeps their mouth shut and doesn't speak, no one else can harm them. What if someone insists on harming others? The laws of the world will kick them out and randomly transport them to another world, Gu Qingshan nodded. No wonder it's called Riddle World. That way, the safety of transactions can be guaranteed, Jang Young-ho continued. Because of that, the true danger lies in the places outside of Riddle World. What do you mean? The major organizations that have been lurking around Riddle World for a long time are constantly observing the void of space around them, ready to rob the weak and unfamiliar visitors. That's a bit troublesome, but this is the Queen of Thorns ship. There shouldn't be any issues, Gu Qingshan concluded. As soon as she said so, dong! There was a dull roar. The ship shook a bit. Lola's voice came. Gu Qingshan, there's a fleet of ships in the void of space in front of us, blocking our path. Did they fire? Gu Qingshan asked. Yes, the ship is fine, they can't break through it at all. I just want to ask you what we should do now, Lola replied. Gu Qingshan was surprised. This is the Queen of Thorns ship we're talking about, can't they recognize it? Lola replied. I've used a popular camouflage technique. From the outside, this ship looks like an unassuming ship. You're afraid that the envoy of chaos' subordinates will discover this ship? Yes, very smart, Gu Qingshan praised. Compared to being discovered by the envoy of chaos, we'd rather run into a bunch of bandits. Then what do we do now? Lola asked. Don't be in a hurry, they're already flying here, Gu Qingshan replied. Several hundred people were flying in from the void of space outside the ship. They quickly surrounded the ship. The leader of the group looked at the 4 people on the deck of the ship and scowled. He grabbed one of the people next to him and spoke in a displeased tone. This ship is clearly broken, and there are only 4 pieces of trash on board. Is that really worth us mobilizing? The person who spoke was a lookout, so he nervously replied. A lot of ships have been disguised like this recently. I'm worried that they're the same. Hearing that, the leader of the group was pleased. He flew above the Queen of Thorns ship, looked down at the 4 people below, cleared his throat, and asked, Which one of you is boss? Everyone was surprised. Gu Qingshan, Jang Young-ho, and Yi Fei all stepped aside. exposing the boss who was lying on the deck of the ship to the other party's line of sight. "Boss, they're looking for you," Jang Young-ho said. Chapter 1046. While the bandits were surrounding the Queen of Thorns ship, Boss was resting on the deck of the ship with his eyes closed. It wasn't until the other party called out his new title that he opened his eyes. "How strange, I've only just changed my name and someone already knows?" Boss muttered in a low voice. He stood up and evaluated the other party. "I am Boss, what do you want?" The leader was already impatient and waved his hand. "Trash, take your subordinates and get out of this ship, otherwise I'll take your life right now." Boss was surprised. Trash, that word really is. Boss fell into a strange state of mind. How interesting, no one has ever dared to speak to me like that, even the heir of chaos. Only dared to call me by my title, not humiliating my identity, he muttered. Hearing that, the leader chuckled. "This daddy has been on this side of the world for countless years. I've seen plenty of idiots like you who only know how to brag." Boss silently chuckled. "Then you should see this for yourself." He raised his hand and spread his fingers. Before the leader could react, he vanished. A second later, he reappeared in front of Boss. Boss grabbed him by the neck. "Don't move, I'll break your neck if you do," Boss muttered. The leader finally realized that he had run into a tough nut to crack. "Brother, it was my fault today, please let me go, we'll leave right away," he smiled and said. "Really?" "Really?" Boss thought for a bit and let go. The leader flew up in a panic, activated all of his defensive measures, then hid behind everyone else. After confirming that he was safe, he angrily shouted, "All at once, kill them for me." As soon as the word "all" left his mouth, he disappeared again. He reappeared in Boss's hand, tightly gripped by the neck. None of the defensive measures worked, and the guys who were blocking in front of him didn't even have time to react. "It's my fault," Boss said seriously. "I forgot that humans love to lie the most." The border between the strife zones and the mystic zones. Having lost its mount, the Soul Shrieker was now in the middle of an endless barrage of attacks. This was a saturated attack that far exceeded the normal limit. There was nowhere to hide, so he could only brace himself and endure it. Normally, this kind of attack would overdraw the full power of the treasure and would only be released in the most dangerous situation. Under such circumstances, the owner of the treasure could no longer care about the treasure. He could only endure the pain of destroying the treasure in order to preserve his own life. This kind of attack, because of its ferocity, would soon stop. But the attacks never stop. All kinds of offensive treasures had never stopped from the beginning to the end. Fortunately, the Soul Shrieker had been through various situations, so it was able to deal with this kind of combat style that it had never seen before in the 900 million world layers. After tens of thousands of years of planning, it had killed almost all the carriers of order. There was one left. This was the last one. The Soul Shrieker trusted its own calmness. It had never lacked patience when it came to hunting. For now, there was only one thing left to do. Wait. Once all the attacks were over, I would be able to capture the last carrier of order. As for these minions that tried to stop me, I would deal with them sooner or later. The Soul Shrieker silently waited for the attacks to end. 1 hour later. Boom, 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 boom. The Soul Shrieker endured the attacks and silently waited for everything to end. 2 hours later. Boom, 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 boom. The Soul Shrieker endured the attacks and silently waited for everything to end. 3 hours later. Boom, 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 boom. It's already been 3 hours. Why did the attacks become even more ferocious? What's going on? The Soul Shrieker felt itself to be a true, calm, and patient hunter. But it wasn't an idiot. It thought for a bit, then abruptly retreated. Using its own strength and the momentum of the attacks, it quickly left the scene of battle and returned to the strife zones. Finally, it left the battle and gave up on chasing after that person. Such power! I've never seen such an enemy before. I might not be able to catch up, the Soul Shrieker muttered. It could sense that the carrier of order was getting further and further away from itself. The Soul Shrieker stood still and silently thought for a while. No, the era of chaos cannot be delayed any longer, it muttered to itself. All carriers of order have been eliminated, leaving only one behind. He won't be able to do anything. I might as well start the era of chaos first, then chase after him, even though this will require a certain price. But what in this world doesn't have a price? The Soul Shrieker quickly made up its mind. It stood in the void of space, stretching its body while shouting, "Come forth, come to my side, carriers of chaos. Today, you shall receive a divine baptism." A mass of gray fog manifested from nothing, circled around the Soul Shrieker, then quickly spread in every direction. Thick fog filled the air. Figures slowly appeared from within the fog. These were all living beings who had been carriers of chaos, each of them wielding a different power of chaos. They carefully maintained their distance from one another, looking at the Soul Shrieker with a look full of longing. "Sir, we have come in response to your summons, envoy. I am at your command, I have come, Your Excellency," these people quickly replied. The Soul Shrieker ignored them, lowered its head, and began to chant in a low voice. "Come, for the sake of the era of chaos. You shall contribute your strength." The carriers of chaos that were hidden in the fog heard its chant and began to move. To be exact, it was their bodies that ignored their will and began to move on their own. "What's going on? Sir, what are you doing? Why can't I control myself?" "No, why is that?" the carriers of chaos all exclaimed in shock. The Soul Shrieker looked up and explained to its surroundings. "I've been making preparations in the 900 million world layers for a long time, teaching you how to fight, helping you grow, and nurturing your ability to use chaos. I originally hoped that you would become the first batch of combatants of the era of chaos. However, order hasn't been completely destroyed, and the difficulty of starting the era of chaos has increased. I need more power to achieve this, so you have all obtained a new honor." The Soul Shrieker smiled. "And that is to become a part of me." It opened its mouth wide, speaking in a male and female voice at the same time. "I need you to gather with me and enjoy this true honor, all souls with the chaos characteristic. Come, become my power to start the era." The Soul Shrieker's voice abruptly reached its peak. Aya, within the fog, every carrier of chaos sped up and charged towards the Soul Shrieker. This was an eerie and majestic sight. Hundreds of carriers of chaos came from every direction and rushed into the Soul Shrieker's body. As if they had fallen into a swamp or a bottomless pit of quicksand, they disappeared from this world. But the Soul Shrieker's body didn't change at all. It continued to scream until the hundreds of carriers of chaos had all entered its body. There were no longer any living beings in the void of space. Twisted runes manifested on the surface of its skin, then quickly disappeared. "Finally, it has begun." the Soul Shrieker breathed heavily. Countless faces of despair and struggling flashed across its body, then disappeared as if they had sunk to the bottom of the ocean. The Soul Shrieker stood in the void of space. It opened its mouth and uttered countless overlapping voices, almost as if countless people were chanting a holy hymn at the same time. "From that moment in the distant past, we were born from the destruction of all things, bearing the pain of all living beings. Even the apocalypse could not do anything to us, the era of chaos. We sow your soil across the infinite void. You shall grow here and turn into an entity that rules over all." Countless voices abruptly resounded, roaring, "And we shall be your body. We shall spread chaos across the 900 million world layers." Figures composed entirely of light emerged from the Soul Shrieker's body, shattered into scattered sprites of light, and rapidly disappeared into the void of space, disappearing without a trace. This was an incomparably magnificent scene, as if the gods were spreading their majesty to the billions of worlds. The Soul Shrieker silently waited for all the humanoid figures on its body to shatter and scatter before it regained its calm. The era of chaos has begun, and the only order will soon come to an end this time. I will take a long detour, but no one will be able to discover me again. Turned around and slowly went away. P.S. Fellow readers, I am Fireworks City. Recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, 0 ads, and multiple reading mode. Dear readers, please pay attention to it. Chapter 1047. The Soul Shrieker started the era of chaos, then silently disappeared. Chaos began to spread throughout the 900 million world layers. At another location, in a hidden flight path, the bandit leader was being held by the neck by Boss with an expression of utter shock. He had used every defensive measure possible, but he was still caught so easily. He wanted to resist, but couldn't even move a muscle. He could sense just how powerful that hand was. I'm sorry, brother, I was wrong. Please give me another chance. I promise I'll leave right away. The bandit leader smiled flatteringly and said. This time, Boss didn't look at him anymore. Boss grabbed the bandit leader's neck with one hand and lightly pressed the void of space with the other. The thick book appeared again. Boss held the book in one hand and muttered, "Who is under my seat?" Immediately, the book flipped by itself. Various terrifying and ferocious monsters appeared on the pages. I don't have enough power right now. It's better to use a loyal subordinate. Fine, I'll use you. As Boss said that, he tapped one of the monsters with his finger. It was a humanoid monster with mouths all over its body. It didn't have eyes, nose, or ears, but whether it was its head, limbs, or body, all of them were open mouths. When Boss pointed at it, it respectfully knelt down in front of Boss and bowed. "Go and eat," Boss said. Following his words, the void of space outside the Queen of Thorns' ship began to surge. The monster had appeared. Its body was the size of a ship, so it charged straight into the bandit group as soon as it appeared. The monster rolled around in the void of space. All the bandits disappeared. A series of bone-chilling chewing noises resounded from the void of space. Some of the mouths on the monster's body opened and closed, spilling bright red blood that dyed its body red. The monster didn't stop and charged straight into the bandit fleet. In front of it, the bandits that surrounded the Queen of Thorns' ship seemed to have been erased and disappeared without a trace. After doing all that, the monster flew back and respectfully bowed to Boss. "Wait a moment," Boss casually said. The monster took a few steps back and silently waited. Boss whispered into the bandit leader's ear, "Now, who do you think is trash?" The bandit leader was already scared half to death. Just as he was about to say something, Boss had already thrown him away. The bandit leader flew out of the Queen of Thorns' ship and was taken into the monster's arms. He disappeared without a trace. The sound of chewing could be heard from the monster's body. The sound of chewing could be heard from the monster. It was enough to destroy an entire fleet of bandit. This thing directly destroyed an entire fleet of the bandit fleet. "All right, you can go back now," the boss said. The monster sincerely bowed, then faced the boss, lowered its head, and slowly retreated. "It's beyond, has King Boss, King God Gu Qing Shan couldn't help but ask. Your wounds haven't fully healed yet. Wouldn't using such a long distance summoning increase the burden on your body?" Boss scoffed. "This kind of technique is nothing but a trifling matter, it's nothing." While saying so, he fell backwards onto the deck of the ship. Gu Qing Shan and the other two went up to take a look. Boss's eyes were closed and he was snoring. Gu Qing Shan carefully looked at him and sighed. "He used up too much power at once. He'll probably need to sleep for a bit longer." Zhang Yongho and Yi Feili exchanged glances. "This guy is so prideful that he used such a powerful summoning technique to attack," Zhang Yongho commented. "That's right, he wouldn't have lost even if he fought slowly," Yi Feili also commented. Zhang Yongho went silent, then suddenly said, "I really want to know his true background. What are you worried about?" Yi Feili asked. According to him, he once fought against the Soul Shrieker, which means he must be a very powerful person. "That's right, but I've been in the 900 million world layers for quite some time now, but I've never heard of such a person in the 900 million world layers, Zhang Young-ho scowled. That's a problem, Yi Fei pondered. Gu Qingshan then said, asking too much is not good, since he's on our side. I don't think there's any need to think too deeply about it for now, don't think? Letting an unknown factor stay by your side isn't like you at all, Zhang Young-ho said in surprise. If he had sworn a causality oath that he wouldn't harm us, then he isn't our enemy, Gu Qingshan emphasized. Zhang Young-ho and Yi Fei both thought for a bit, then nodded. Gu Qingshan continued. He's also recognized by the mystic-type artifact as my mutual savior, so he can be considered our comrade in arms. Then we don't need to know each other better? Zhang Young-ho asked. Gu Qingshan shook her head. Everyone has a past they don't want to talk about, not asking is something we can give him. One day, when he's willing to tell us, we'll naturally find out. Yi Fei seemed to have thought of something and nodded. Perhaps one day, even if we don't ask, he'll tell us himself. Yes, that's exactly it. Half an hour later. The ship was still moving forward. The void of space around them was dark and gloomy. Boss laid on the deck of the ship and slowly opened his eyes. He was awake. Sitting up, he spoke a bit embarrassedly. I'm sorry, I accidentally used up all my power again. Please give me a few more soul points drinks. Take it. Yi Fei tossed him a bottle. Boss caught it and drank it all at once. Ah, no, I can't fight anymore, I need to rest for a while, he sighed. No problem, leave the rest to us, Yi Fei said. That's right, we've already killed a bunch of bandits. I don't think anyone else will try to mess with us anymore, Gu Qingshan replied. As soon as she said so, dong! A loud noise. The ship shook a bit. Everyone turned to Gu Qingshan. I think he said the same thing before. Yi Fei cleared her throat and said, Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan raised her hand. Stop, I won't say that again. At this point, Lola's voice came from inside the ship. Gu Qingshan, we're being attacked on the deck of the ship. The four of them looked towards the depths of the space vortex. A fleet consisting of dozens of spaceships was heading toward them. Could it be that we're blocking their way? Gu Qingshan asked. Then I'll try to get out of their way, Lola replied. The Queen of Thorns slightly changed direction, deviated from its original course, and moved to one side. But when the ship avoided the fleet also changed direction and continued to fly towards the Queen of Thorns. This stance, how familiar! Yi Fei crossed her arms and commented. That's right, we're about to be surrounded again, Zhang Young-ho replied. Seemingly to prevent Gu Qingshan's group from escaping, the several dozen ships spread out and skillfully cooperated to surround the Queen of Thorns. Gu Qingshan, my ship is very powerful. Do you want to break open a path? Lola asked. That way we'll be chased all the time. How boring, let's deal with them face to face, Gu Qingshan replied. At this point, a group of people flew out from the main ship and hovered in front of the ship, looking at Gu Qingshan's group of four. A bulky man with a giant axe on his shoulder stepped out, stood in front of the ship, and looked at Gu Qingshan's group of four. Who is your boss? The bulky man shouted. Gu Qingshan, Zhang Young-ho, and Yi Fei couldn't help but look at Boss. Boss was sitting weakly on the deck of the ship, so he couldn't help but sigh and muttered, I really want to change my title. That's fine, leave it to us this time. Saying so, Gu Qingshan was about to take flight. Zhang Young-ho stopped him. I'll try to negotiate first. He tossed a coin to the other side. I'm a member of the Hitman Alliance. The bulky man received the coin, carefully looked at it, then appeared hesitant. Gu Qingshan asked in a low voice, Is this alliance useful? Zhang Young-ho also replied in a low voice. The Hitman Alliance is an underground assassination organization. An assassination organization, under normal circumstances, any organization would give us a bit of face. Is that so? Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then took out the Hitman Guild badge and tossed it over. Hey, there's another person from the Hitman Guild here. He pointed at himself. The bulky man received the badge and saw that it was also a real Hitman badge. An Hitman. An hitman. In other words, these are two people from the underground world. Most likely, they're not here to do business with treasures. Hitmen are only in the business of killing people. Could it be that everyone on this ship is a hitman? Then I'll have to report this to the boss. The bulky man took the coin and badge, turned around, and flew back to his group. They discussed among themselves. A few moments later, they turned around to face the Queen of Thorns. The bulky man flew back with a malicious smile. I'm sorry, but the world is too hard right now. Even a hitman would have to leave behind this ship and everything else in order to survive, he told Gu Qingshan's group. Seeing his expression, Gu Qingshan's group quickly discussed among themselves. I'm afraid they're waiting for us to leave behind everything before killing us, Gu Qingshan commented. They really can't think straight, Zhang Yongho sighed. They won't have to think straight anymore, Yi Feili said. About that, I need to rest for a bit, boss bit the bullet and cut in. We'll be fine, you rest, Gu Qingshan said. Gu Qingshan, Zhang Yongho, and Yi Feili had prepared themselves for battle. But at this point, the expressions of the people on the other side suddenly changed and froze. They stood in the void, not saying a word. Their eyes stared blankly ahead, as if there was something worthy of their attention. What's going on? Yi Feili couldn't help but ask. Something seems to have happened, Zhang Yongho narrowed his eyes. Gu Qingshan grabbed the earth sword from the void of space. At the same time, the other three swords also appeared behind him. For some reason, this gave him a sense of familiarity. On the other side, the Soul Shrieker was flying through the space vortex. All of a sudden, countless voices resounded in its ears. The era has successfully descended. UV achieved. UV achieved. The apotheotic combat of chaos, The Soul Shrieker abruptly stopped in place. Endless aura of chaos flowed through the void of space, manifesting into strands that flew towards it from every direction. These strands of chaos entered the Soul Shrieker's body one after another. The Soul Shrieker raised its head to the sky and screamed. Power! The boundless power of chaos! Its male voice excitedly shouted. Its female voice also laughed in a high-pitched voice. Ahahaha, if I had this power half a minute earlier, I wouldn't have been trapped at the entrance of the mystic zones, nor would I have been unable to move forward from those attacks. The strands of chaos all entered its body. The Soul Shrieker paused for a split second and sighed. Everything is different now. The male and female voices resounded at the same time, chanting with a tone of praise. So this is the true path of godhood. I have finally arrived at this moment. I shall climb to the peak of the chaos, escape the control of the abyss, and fear no apocalypse. It abruptly closed its mouth and displayed an attentive expression, as if it was listening to something. Endless whispers resounded in its ears. You have been granted the apotheotic combat. Your power has increased by several times, reaching. You are chaos. Order still exists. Do not allow it. All of a sudden, all the whispers abruptly resounded with a furious roar. Immediately destroy the final order. No power will be able to stop you. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 1048. While the Queen of Thorns was facing off against the bandits of Riddle World. On another side, the wilderness of Death World. The entire world was covered in endless wilderness. There were no living beings in the wilderness, other than the ancient spell formation of death. There was only a single black structure. A towering black divine temple stood at the center of this world. The Holy Church of Death. At the center of the divine temple was the Holy Church of Death. The Holy Church of Death was a place that only the servants of the God of Death could enter. Even the Pope wasn't qualified to enter this place. The door was tightly shut. Inside the Holy Church, the Black Crow of Death had already brought Anna and Lin in, while the Death Herald dog had also returned. Black Dog carefully examined the statue of the God of Death that Black Crow gave him, then sighed and said, "It's the real deal. This statue is indeed the proof to open the underground passage. If that's the case, that person should be a friend, not an enemy, Black Crow commented. The two servant gods turned to look at Lin. Do you really want to enter the God of Death's secret passage? Black Dog tried asking. The person who gave you the proof of the God of Death. He ordered me to protect the heir of the God of Death, Lin casually replied without any emotions. She casually took out a set of golden armor and lightly tapped it with her hand. The entire set of battle armor spread out and attached itself to her body at an extremely fast speed. After putting on the helmet and the golden mask, no one could see Lin's expression anymore. Lin then took out a pair of crimson gauntlets and put them on. Both the armor and gauntlets were chosen by Lola, so even with Lola's eyes, they were top-notch equipment. The two attendants looked at each other in dismay. From the looks of it, this woman was already prepared to become Anna's guard. Black Dog hesitated for a bit, then carefully asked, "Pardon me for asking, but who exactly is that person?" Lin didn't say anything. She reached her hand forward. Elemental fire instantly manifested on the gauntlets, dancing along with her slender fingers. Her fingers moved. The flames formed a line that formed a pattern. On top of a cluster of sparks that looked like stars in the sky, a crown that gave off a blinding light. Anna's expression changed as she saw this. This woman was too amazing. She was able to draw such a complicated and profound pattern with just a little bit of fire elemental energy. Her control over the elements had already reached the pinnacle of perfection. However, the two attendants were even more shocked than Anna. This symbol looks familiar. Black Dog fell into a distant memory. Black Crow, on the other hand, remembered the existence that the mark represented. The exiled apostle, the first above the star crown, it's him. The Black Crow retracted its feathers and spoke in a quiet and fearful voice. Black Dog suddenly understood. It's him. I see. Black Dog lowered his head and couldn't help but express his respect. The two servants respectfully bowed to Lin. No need for formalities, I'm only following orders. Do you have any other questions? Lin asked. No more. The two attendants spoke in unison. Anna, I'll leave the rest to you, Black Crow said. Anna was startled and asked, Leave it to me? What do you mean? There's no time to lose, Anna and your esteemed protector. The two of you can enter the passage now, Black Dog said. Wait a minute, you're not coming with me? Anna asked. We are servants of the deities, we can't enter that place. Only the person who inherited the power of death and their protector can enter, Black Dog replied. I never knew I had any power of death, Anna was confused. Black Crow explained. In truth, every member of the Holy Church of Death would undergo the awakening ritual without their knowledge, awakening the power of death within their body by touching the awakened soul artifact. For the last 10,000 years, no one had managed to awaken the power of death. We all thought that there was no hope, but you appeared, Anna, you've awakened that power, Black Dog said. Anna raised her hand. Black flames began to surge from her palm. This is clearly my god's chosen power, she was confused. Black Dog explained. This is a disguise, Anna, when you awakened, your god's chosen weapon changed, do you still remember? Anna carefully thought about it. Indeed, at the time, I felt that everyone else received something good from the ritual, while I then, the scythe of death changed. Black Dog continued. Anna, fate and time have coincided at this very moment, you are the true inheritor. If you want to see the truth of the world, you must accept the God of Death's inheritance. Anna hesitated, then turned to look at Lin. She's Gu Qingshan's older sister, Anna asked Lin. I still don't know your name? My name is Lin. Lin, if you don't want to take any risks, please wait for me in the Holy Church of Death. I'll come out to find you after I'm done here, then we'll return to the Bramble Bird Kingdom. No need, you're not strong enough to take that path. I'll go with you and protect you, Lin casually replied. Anna was surprised. Together with Gu Qingshan's older sister, why do I feel a bit uneasy? Anna couldn't help but look at the two servants of the deities. The two servants of the deities both nodded. It is indeed dangerous, Black Crow said. You will need her protection, even in the age of old prophecy. The inheritor of the god of death would always travel together with her bodyguard. All right then, Anna had no choice but to say that. At this point, the air around them suddenly changed. The earth, the void, all living things gave off a faint but tangible tremor. Wind began to appear. This was an indiscernible gust of wind, but it caused the expressions of the two servants of the deities to change. The era of chaos has descended, Black Dog muttered in a low voice. That's right, it's clearly an era of destruction, but order and chaos are still at war, Black Crow sighed. Lin sensed the changes in the world and remained completely still. No one could see the expression hidden behind her golden mask. Black Dog looked at Anna and sincerely told her, "Little Anna, I know you have a lot of wishes, but for the sake of survival, for the sake of helping the people you care about receive powerful help, you must witness the truth of the world and inherit the power of death. Only power can change the situation. This world has always been this realistic." Anna nodded and cheered herself on. "Okay. This is the most motivating thing I've heard today." Seeing that they were all prepared, Black Crow flew to the end of the secret room and landed in front of a mural. It was a gloomy mural, depicting an entity wielding a long-handled scythe with his back to the mural, silently hovering above the endless darkness. This mural stretched across the entire wall, giving off a grand and historical feeling. As Black Crow looked at the mural, his eyes showed endless emotions. Black Dog explained to Anna and Lin, "Under normal circumstances, I would store the power of death and be responsible for any unexpected battles. Black Crow isn't like me. His power of death has never been used for anything. Why is that?" Anna couldn't help but ask. Now that she thought about it carefully, she indeed had never seen Sir Black Crow fight before. Because Black Crow's power was personally inherited by the god of death from the age of old. For the sake of his successor, Black Crow was responsible for preserving this power until a certain moment comes, Black Crow replied. "That's right, it is this moment." He reached out his long beak and lightly pecked the mural. The mural silently split apart to reveal what was inside. It was a huge bronze door that was 5 meters tall. This gate was completely bare without anything on it, but anyone who stood in front of it couldn't help but feel small and insignificant. Black Crow stepped forward and began to chant an incantation. "Eternal God of Death, I have come from the end of the endless years to report to you. A saintess born with the power of the god of death has spread your majesty across the infinite worlds, following your path, no different from when you were still alive, and now, I shall use the divine power you left behind to guide her into the underground passage." Black Crow's body released countless strands of deep darkness that entered the bronze gate. A moment of silence. Rumble, 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 rumble. The heavy noise sounded like a sigh filled with endless vicissitudes of life. The bronze gate slowly opened. Black Crow heaved a sigh of relief and stepped aside. Behind the bronze gate, a deep, dark abyss extended downwards without an end in sight. Only a single stone slab hovered in front of the gate, waiting for anyone to enter. Black Dog reminded her. Even with all of Black Crow's power, he can only open this gate once. Anna, you must treasure this chance, because this is your only chance, as well as the Holy Church of Death's only chance. Anna gritted her teeth and nodded. Black Dog then turned to Lin. "Please take good care of her," Lin replied. "Don't worry, I will." Black Dog also stepped aside. Anna and Lin went through the bronze gate and stood on the floating stone slab. Their bodies were slowly swallowed by the darkness. It was time to part. Black Dog still couldn't help but whisper, "Little Anna, if you can't do it, just stay alive and come back alive." Anna looked at the concerned expression on the other party's face and felt a warmth in her heart. She nodded silently. The bronze gate slowly closed. Chapter 1049. At the same time, outside the bronze door, Black Hound and Black Crow's expressions both changed. "Strange, what would come at this time?" Black Dog asked. "He seems to be someone we know very well," Black Crow said. "I'll stay here." You go check it out, Black Dog said. All right. The crow flapped its wings and flew out of the holy church. It landed on the roof of the Holy Church of Death and looked up at the sky. The Pope of the Holy Church of Death had already brought 2 groups of people and was waiting in the sky, ready to face the enemy. Who is it? How dare you barge into the Shrine of Death without any prior notice? The Pope shouted. In the sky, the Pope of the Temple of Mysteries appeared. He descended above the Shrine of Death. Holy Church of Death, I am the Pope of the Temple of Mysteries. I heard that you are currently fighting against the invading civilization on top of the abyssal behemoth, so we are here to provide support, the Pope of Mysteries said. The Death Pope's eyes sharpened as he gestured downward. Immediately, all the death magic formations in the wilderness were activated, and the Shrine of Death's defensive divine incantation was completely activated. The Pope of Mysteries narrowed his eyes and sneered. What does that mean? Is this how you welcome a comrade? The Death Pope said indifferently, You came only after the war has ended. Do you think I will believe your nonsense? The Pope of Mysteries opened his arms wide and spoke with a relaxed tone. You're right, I should have arrived a long time ago, but a major incident occurred on my way here, so I couldn't help but be delayed. What change? The Death Pope could not help but ask. The Pope of Mystic Art said, Don't tell me you haven't noticed? Chaos is awakening. A smile appeared on his face as he continued. In our lineage's inheritance, there is a secret divine oracle passed down by the gods, pointing out the details of the gods behind each divine temple. Unfortunately, the Death God is the backbone of the Order side. When the era of chaos descends, the followers of the God of Death will become our enemies. The Pope of Mysteries chanted an incantation. The dark sky behind him was suddenly illuminated by the radiance of the secret technique. One after another, fully armored figures appeared. The 100,000 soldiers of the Temple of Mysteries, who were hiding in the void, revealed themselves. The Pope of Mysteries looked down at the Holy Church of Death below and muttered, Go, the more you kill, the stronger your power of chaos will become. This is what God himself said a long time ago. The Pope of Mysteries raised his voice. For the sake of true chaos, leave no one alive, kill them all. Yes. The 100,000-strong army roared. The other side. The Soul Shrieker was flying through the space vortex. Suddenly, it seemed to have sensed something and stopped abruptly. Such a powerful energy feedback. It seems that the power of the Chaos Gods has sensed the arrival of the era and has begun to step onto the stage of history. Thanks to the growth of chaos, I've gained even greater power. Ah! The Soul Shrieker hugged its body in pain. The hurricane-like air currents revolved around it continuously, finally turning into a void storm that swept away everything in its surroundings. The Soul Shrieker hovered in the middle of the storm, its entire body twitching. Expressions of despair appeared on its body one after another, only to quickly disappear again. Very quickly, its shoulders began to move and grow a new pair of arms. Its skin was now covered in a layer of black runes. All mysteries of the void are revealing their truth to me. I've already become unbelievably powerful, the Soul Shrieker muttered, then suddenly looked up towards a certain direction. Indeed, I can sense it. The final wielder of order is over there. The Soul Shrieker's gaze seemed to be able to pierce through the void of space to see the scene beyond. That is a ship. The riddle world at the border of the 900 million world layers. The Soul Shrieker stared at the void of space, almost as if it was actually looking at the Queen of Thorns. After a long moment of thought, it spread its 4 arms in front of itself. With my current power, although I'm still a bit away from becoming a deity, if I exert my full strength, the Soul Shrieker quickly made up its mind. Its 4 arms clasped together, each forming a hand seal. It looked towards the direction of Riddle World and muttered an incantation. Even across the void and worlds, no one can stop the divine might of chaos. Enemies shall prostrate themselves at the feet of the will of chaos, a mythical creature of chaos. You shall bring death to your enemies and establish the final cornerstone of the era of chaos. Following the Soul Shrieker's chant, a dense and surging gray fog manifested around its body. The fog converged to form a mass of gray light. The gray radiance seemed to be alive as it squirmed incessantly and emitted sharp whistling sounds. The Soul Shrieker abruptly raised its 4 arms and shouted, "Aia! Hurry, your only mission is to kill him!" Boom! The gray light erupted from its 4 arms, pierced through the endless void and worlds, and headed towards Riddle World. At another location, near Riddle World, Gu Qingshan looked at the people in front of her, and had already guessed the answer. If it isn't an order, then has chaos already begun to spread? Gu Qingshan silently thought. This is chaos, Boss's voice resounded. The 3 of them turned to look, only to see that Boss had an extremely serious expression on his face. A chaos? But the Soul Shrieker hasn't appeared yet, Zhang Young-ho replied. The era of chaos has descended ahead of schedule. I didn't think the envoy of chaos would be so flexible. The entire 900 million world layers is about to become the camp of chaos, Boss replied. Gu Qingshan silently nodded. This was exactly what he had guessed. We need to hurry up. Oh no, don't come any closer. Gu Qingshan opened his mouth to speak, but abruptly changed his tone. Without any warning, the heavy shadow of death flashed across his heart. Gu Qingshan's expression warped, then directly used ground shrink to disappear from the ship. What happened? Zhang Young-ho loudly asked. What happened? Yi Fei-li also became anxious. Boss looked up at the sky, only to see Gu Qingshan hovering in the air, looking into the distant void. A second later, 3 swords appeared from the void of space behind him and flashed into the void of space. Gu Qingshan drew an ancient sword from the void of space and held it tightly in one hand. And then the attack came. As if it had a mind of its own, as soon as it saw Gu Qingshan, it erupted with overwhelming killing intent. It howled as it charged straight at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan's mind turned. The 3 swords flew forward and performed secret art, a torrent, at the same time. A sword phantom that could engulf everything abruptly manifested. But as the tidal wave of sword phantoms collided with the fearsome gray light, they were only lightly grazed before being completely destroyed. The Chao Yin sword and the Sleeping Heaven sword were both sent flying. Only the Autumn Water Blue sword managed to pierce through the gray light and managed to cut it off a bit. Screech. The gray light uttered an angry screech. Clang. The 6 Paths Great Mountain sword was also sent flying. This gray light was too powerful. Shanu's desperate voice resounded in Gu Qingshan's mind. No. In that split second, Gu Qingshan's vigilance was fully awakened. Shanu knows all of my abilities, but she felt hopeless. This means that the gray light is so powerful that I can't deal with it. And the gray light seems to be a strange life form with emotions. In the blink of an eye, before Gu Qingshan could react, the gray light had already reached him. So fast. I can't dodge, it's too fast. If I try to dodge, I'll be caught up and devoured. I won't even have a chance to attack. Gu Qingshan only had time to think up to this point. He raised the earth sword and infused all of his spirit energy into a slash. This slash was extremely simple. He didn't even use any secret arts. But Gu Qingshan had infused all of his swordsmanship into this slash. He gave up on any strategy, removed any emotional fluctuations, and focused all of his wisdom and power on this slash. This was a slash that put his life on the line. This was the strongest slash he had ever unleashed in his entire life. The sword let out a woo-woo sound. To protect its master, the Earth Sword had automatically activated its own thaumaturgy. Earth's Choice. Earth's Choice. Slay all entities. Description. The stronger the target you want to slay, the more soul points. Earth's Choice will require. Gu Qingshan shouted. Slash. The Earth Sword swung forward. The void of space was slashed apart. Space and time were slashed apart. The gray light met this slash head-on. Screech, an ear-piercing scream resounded in everyone's ears. All the bandits clutched their heads and ears as they fell from the void of space. In front of Gu Qingshan, the gray light was split apart by a single slash and instantly dimmed. The gray light completely vanished. It had been slain. Gu Qingshan stood in the void of space, wielding his sword as he breathed heavily. Although it seemed like only a single slash had been unleashed, it was too fast and too powerful, a slash that was meant for survival. Gu Qingshan could clearly sense that she was only a hair's breadth away from death. If I hadn't unleashed such a slash in a desperate situation, I would have already died just now. The shadow of death had completely faded from her spirit sense, but it still left behind a sense of unease. Gu Qingshan turned her gaze towards the faraway void of space. The threat had yet to be resolved. That gray light just now wasn't a coincidence. Gu Qingshan could faintly sense that something was observing the situation here from afar. Lines of glowing text were scrolling past the war god UI Frownyface special note. You must thank yourself for risking your life during the Age of Old, because without the Earth Sword's resurrection, you would have been devoured just now. This slash had consumed all of your spirit energy. You've entered a weakened state, remaining soul points. 0 out of 600. You've killed the mythical creature of chaos. Gloomy devourer of God's corpse. Although you have the identity of an Earth god, you are currently still a mortal. Because of that, this was a full-fledged kill above your level. The war god UI will absorb all of the soul points from the gloomy devourer of God's corpse. As you are currently in a state of life and death, this time soul points will be at your disposal. You've obtained 3 million soul points. You've obtained a unique title, Enemy of Chaos, Primary. Chapter 1050. Gu Qingshan wasn't in a hurry to check the war god UI. As a sword cultivator, his spirit sense had always been exceptional. He could feel that there was an existence that could truly take his life staring at him from an incomparably distant place. The attack just now came from that entity. It should be coming from this direction, Gu Qingshan muttered. He was temporarily blinded, his vision was completely dark, but he still managed to turn his head to look at the endless space vortex. Through the endless world, at a place where Gu Qingshan couldn't see, the Soul Shrieker was staring at him. The Soul Shrieker was able to clearly observe the entire battle. No. The twin swords heaven and earth. It uttered an enraged roar. Its failure during the Age of Old was deeply etched in its mind. But now, over 10,000 years had passed. The era of chaos had arrived. I'm about to become the ruler of everything. Why couldn't I kill that detestable insect? Arg, despicable human cultivator, I will definitely devour your soul and make it suffer endless torture inside my body. The Soul Shrieker cursed. Boundless gloomy fog drifted around the Soul Shrieker's body, constantly giving off loud rumbling noises. With its current strength, it could only summon a single mythical creature like the one just now with everything it had. To summon a stronger power to kill Gu Qingshan, it needed to become even stronger. The Soul Shrieker stood still for a while, then abruptly spoke with a malicious tone. I'll let you live for a bit longer. When my power reaches the next level, you will no longer be able to resist. That is the true power of a deity. After saying so, the Soul Shrieker no longer looked towards Gu Qingshan. It pulled its gaze back and focused on its journey. When it pulled its gaze back, Gu Qingshan's connection with it was also cut off from the endless void. He stood still for a while. That feeling of being watched has disappeared. Was it because the assassination attempt just now failed, so it's temporarily hiding and silently accumulating power? He muttered in a low voice. Gongzi! Shanu abruptly appeared in front of Gu Qingshan from afar, anxiously looking at him. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Gu Qingshan smiled. Shanu looked at Gu Qingshan from head to toe and sighed in relief. That thing was so powerful, I thought. I sensed your emotions, so I didn't dare to lower my guard at all. I used everything I had to survive, Gu Qingshan said. That's good, Shanu patted her chest, a bit fearful. What exactly was that? I've never seen such an attack since I started following young master. Gu Qingshan muses. To be able to attack from several million world layers away. There aren't any powerful entities among my enemies, unless the Soul Shrieker obtained power from the evolution of chaos. Gu Qingshan thought about it again, and finally confirmed it. Back when he was in the fragment of the parallel world, he had also experienced a similar feeling. There was no mistaking it, chaos. What a terrifying power! He couldn't help but sigh. I didn't think the Soul Shrieker would become this powerful under the support of chaos. If it continues to grow stronger, wouldn't its enemies have nowhere to run? An ambush from several million worlds away. That's right, I managed to survive this time. But the era of chaos had only just begun, and as the envoy, the Soul Shrieker would surely obtain more and more benefits. It would become even stronger. Unless someone could stop chaos. Who could? The only Order is currently hiding inside my body, unable to do anything but run for its life. If even Order is running for its life like this, Gu Qingshan really doesn't know who else could go against chaos. Gu Qingshan shook her head and glanced at the war god Ui. You've obtained the title, Enemy of Wu Chaos, Primary. Enemy of Wu Chaos. Primary. When you fight against chaos, your damage is increased by 20%. A description. Please use this title carefully because when you equip this title, enemies of Wu Chaos will be able to easily discover your identity. Gu Qingshan shrugged indifferently. Currently, his war god titles included Enemy of Chaos, Starflame War God, Shen Wei General, Ace Assassin, etc. All of these titles were quite powerful. Normally, Gu Qingshan had also gotten used to using Shen Wei General as his title. After all, this title could increase his attack speed, which was quite useful in normal battles. What happened just now? Zhang Yongho flew up and asked. Yi Feili also flew up and spoke in relief. That thing was truly powerful. I was already feeling a bit desperate just now. It's fortunate that you managed to survive. Zhang Yongho was a bit surprised, then asked Yi Feili. Did you clearly see the battle just now? I didn't, but I saw how that thing leapt forward. If it was me, I definitely wouldn't have been able to react in time, and would have been devoured, Yi Feili replied with a bit of lingering fear. Zhang Yongho went silent. He didn't even manage to see it clearly. Gu Qingshan patted his shoulder and consoled him. Don't be in such a hurry, just do what you want and take it slow. You can't increase your strength too quickly, of course, I understand that, but it's still a bit of a blow. Zhang Yongho smiled bitterly. In truth, I only managed to escape with my life thanks to the sword in my hand, Gu Qingshan replied. He stared at the earth sword in his hand and sent his voice. Earth sword, thank you. At the moment of life and death just now, he couldn't care about communicating with the earth sword at all and could only focus on unleashing that single strike. The thaumaturgy, Earth's choice, was automatically activated by the earth sword. This was the benefit of having a sentient weapon. It knew what its wielder needed and would actively activate its ability for its wielder. The earth sword's mountainous heavy voice resounded, carrying a rare sense of seriousness. I advise you to carefully think about that strike just now, because I've never seen you perform such a swordsmanship. Gu Qingshan froze. That's right. How did I manage to unleash that strike just now? No matter what kind of secret art I'm using, even if I'm using a sword array, I still need a bit of time to circulate the spirit energy in my body in order to fully unleash it. How did I manage to do that in just a split second? Furthermore, Gu Qingshan fell into thought. He raised the earth sword, wanting to swing. Both his arms felt numb. That strike didn't just use up all of his spirit energy and soul points, it also used up all of his stamina. I can't even try to do it again right now. No wonder the war god Ui left me. You've entered a weakened state. Notification. Gu Qingshan had no choice but to put his sword away and told Zhang Yongho and Yi Feili. Let's go back to the ship. The two of them nodded and returned to the ship with him. Gu Qingshan sat down on the deck of the ship, not wanting to get up again. How does it feel to use up all of your strength? Boss asked. He had also used up all of his strength, so he was lying next to Gu Qingshan. It's just a bit uncomfortable, I need to rest a bit, Gu Qingshan replied. Your reaction just now was very fast, and that strike of yours was quite interesting, Boss praised her. If that wasn't the case, I would have been dead already, Gu Qingshan smiled bitterly. Boss casually said, since that thing killed you, everyone on this ship naturally wouldn't be able to escape either. Wouldn't be able to escape? Not even you? Gu Qingshan asked. Boss replied. I was heavily wounded and on the verge of death, losing all of my strength, so of course I would have been done for against that thing. Seems like it really was dangerous, Gu Qingshan commented. Indeed, that's why I was able to stay here without worry after you used that strike, Boss added. Yi Fei Li and Zhang Yongho were both surprised. Although Boss said that he had lost all of his strength, there was one very important point. Boss clearly saw the battle just now. From a certain point of view, this proved his strength. Zhang Yongho walked up to Boss and seriously asked, what exactly happened just now? I noticed that you seem to understand a bit more than Yi Fei Li did, Boss asked. You want to know? Zhang Yongho sincerely nodded. Boss explained. The one who acted just now was the Soul Shrieker. It sent a chaos wraith from the Age of Legends through countless worlds. This wraith wasn't actually that strong, but it had a unique ability. It was able to directly jump through countless worlds and directly attack. With its strength, it should have been able to devour Gu Qingshan, but Gu Qingshan was so fierce when she risked her life and killed it with a single strike. Hearing that, Zhang Yongho and Yi Fei Li both fell silent. Countless worlds away, summoning wraiths to attack Gu Qingshan from a faraway place. What kind of power is that? Can a divinity achieve that? Chaos Wraith. Zhang Yongho muttered. Yes, it's very powerful, at least we can't deal with it right now, Boss replied. Zhang Yongho thought for a bit, then hesitantly asked, is Chaos working for the Soul Shrieker? Boss chuckled and shook his head. It's the other way around, it's the Soul Shrieker working for Chaos. Is the power of Chaos very powerful? Much more powerful than you can imagine. Saying so, Boss gestured for Zhang Yongho to look outside the ship. Only to see the bandit fleet gathering. Several hundred bandits gathered in the sky, all looking towards Ship Queen of Thorns. Kill him and you'll be rewarded handsomely. Someone looked at the UI in front of their eyes and muttered. No one else said anything. Their gazes were all focused on Gu Qingshan. Zhang Yongho heard them. He pushed his sunglasses up a bit, picked up a bottle of liquor from the ground, and began drinking. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 1051. Outside the ship Queen of Thorns, several hundred bandits were slowly surrounding it. At this point, Gu Qingshan's inner sight scanned the void of space and understood their current situation. The other party had decided to act. He immediately sent his voice to Lola. Lola, steer the ship, we can't stay here any longer. Got it, Gu Qingshan, you were so cool just now. Lola was busy piloting the ship, but didn't forget to praise him. The ship quickly began to move. The bandits had clearly noticed the ship's movement. They began to order the fleet to change directions and stop O Queen of Thorns. More of them began to move. They were all charging towards the ship. All the Chaos UIs were giving out quests, hoping that they could kill Gu Qingshan. Looking at the carriers of Chaos, Gu Qingshan suddenly thought of something and asked in surprise, if the era of Chaos has already begun, why isn't Chaos carrying us? Boss replied, you're the carrier of Order. The Demon King Order has already reached the Demon King Ascension stage and is far stronger than it is, so it won't come looking for you. Then what about you? Gu Qingshan asked again. My identity is noble, it wouldn't dare to bother me, Boss replied. Zhang Yongho regretfully said, I'm actually quite interested in chaos. Why didn't it come looking for me? Guqing Shan and Boss both looked at him. Do you really want to try it? Boss asked. Will there be any danger? Zhang Young-ho asked in return. There will be many carriers of chaos who want to kill you, Boss emphasized his tone. That's all. That's all. The era of chaos has already descended. The envoys of chaos will become stronger because of this, but they'll lose the ability to fully control the carriers of chaos. So you don't need to worry about the Soul Shrieker, Boss explained. Listening on one side, Guqing Shan nodded. Back in the ruins of the parallel world, the war god Ui didn't stop me from carrying chaos. The war god Ui only reminded me to think carefully and make the right choice. At the end of the day, most of the chaos's hostility toward him was because he possessed the final order. In that case, I understand. Zhang Young-ho pondered and nodded. He stood up, faced the outside of the spaceship, and raised his hand. A black handgun appeared in his hand. Zhang Young-ho's eyes sharpened as he pulled the trigger. A trembling voice came from the pistol. Sparks flew from the muzzle. Although the sound was a little ecstatic, the power was not small. Blood mist exploded. The leader of the group was shot in the head. Zhang Young-ho's expression changed as he looked at the void in front of him. Oh, so this is chaos? Zhang Young-ho asked with interest. The moment his opponent died, a translucent gray interface appeared in front of him. What kind of chaos is it? Guqing Shan asked. It's telling me that I'm about to become a primary-level envoy of slaughter, Zhang Young-ho replied. Guqing Shan fell into thought. At the time, I killed 5 carriers of chaos, at once, then the envoy of chaos, and obtained a brand new personal chaos UI, Magic Dragon Slayer. Now that the era of chaos has descended, if Zhang Young-ho wants to obtain a personal chaos UI, does that mean he doesn't need to kill the envoys of chaos anymore? Because if every carrier of chaos had to kill the envoys of chaos, then only a single person would be able to obtain a personal chaos UI. That doesn't make sense. Zhang Young-ho, I have a hypothesis. You can give it a try, Guqing Shan said. In the void of space on the other side, the group of people had already roared as they charged towards the 4 of them. Tell me, kill a few carriers of chaos. That's easy. Zhang Young-ho put his handgun away, drew a card and threw it out. Bam! A giant dark green lizard appeared in front of them. It looked straight at them with a pair of vertical pupils, a faint green mist drifting around its body. So many of you, are you here for afternoon tea? The lizard asked. No, I'm here to kill. Saying so, Zhang Young-ho held a card in each hand and squeezed it. 2 white mist drifted from his hands. The cards disappeared. One was a black conical dagger, while the other was a scarlet crescent-shaped dagger in Zhang Yinghao's hands. With both daggers in hand, he jumped onto the lizard's back and disappeared in front of the 3 people's eyes. At this point, the newly hatched carriers of chaos were already very close to the Queen of Thorns. Although they encountered an unexpected situation, their formation and coordination weren't disrupted at all. You could tell at a glance that they were seasoned warriors. Unfortunately, they ran into a true hitman. The green mist suddenly dispersed among these people. The 2 daggers left a dark red trail of light behind them as they flew from one end of their vision to the other. It was an extremely simple arc that connected all the enemies on it. Zhang Young-ho turned into a shadow and appeared behind each of them for a split second. With a single swing of his dagger, he easily cut the enemy's neck. Sometimes, when the angle wasn't so good, Zhang Young-ho would give up on cutting the enemy's neck and instead stab the dagger into the enemy's back, twisting it. Everyone died. Their corpses were blown away by the wind of the space vortex. I heard that card users are a very powerful profession. I didn't think Zhang Young-ho had already become such a powerful card user, Yi Fei commented. He only used cards as tools. His true profession is still a hitman, Gu Qing-shan commented. Indeed, a card user's fighting style isn't like that at all. This guy is an expert who uses everything he has to kill, boss also agreed. Jang Young-ho appeared. He stood on the lizard's back, staring at the void of space in front of him, as if looking at something. How is it? Gu Qing-shan called out from afar. Jang Young-ho also called out. Wait a minute, a lot of UIs suddenly appeared in front of me, they seem to be changing. The lizard brought him back to Queen of Thorns. While staring at the void of space, Jang Young-ho spoke. These UIs are beginning to gather, they're reminding me that I've obtained a unique Chaos UI. Hunter of the Death Forest, in about 10 minutes, this unique Chaos UI will finish gathering together. Furthermore, as I become stronger, this UI can be upgraded to become even more powerful templates. The path of evolution is practically endless. Saying so, Jang Young-ho appeared a bit excited. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it can't control me. Everyone around me is stronger than me. I need to catch up to them. Hearing his interesting words, Yi Fei Li couldn't hold back anymore. That sounds like a surreal game, very interesting. I should also. Yi Fei Li's gaze scanned the void of space, trying to find a target to kill. Unfortunately, all the people who carried chaos had already been killed by Jang Young-ho. As for the fleets in the distance, seeing how a single person from the other side managed to kill so many of their people, they had already run away in fear. All right, we'll talk about it later, Yi Fei Li regretfully said. Boss patted his shoulder and said, You don't really need to carry chaos, why not? Yi Fei Li asked. As a world destroyer, your strength will definitely become unimaginably powerful, Boss replied. Very well, Yi Fei Li sighed. Gu Qing-shan silently nodded on one side. Just as I thought, as a carrier of chaos, I no longer need to kill the envoys of chaos to evolve a chaos. With this personal chaos UI, Jang Young-ho's strength would increase even more rapidly. In truth, this was a very personal support for combat. Gu Qing-shan understood Jang Young-ho very well, which was why she agreed to let him use it. Gu Qing-shan herself didn't particularly dislike the Wu Chaos UI. However, due to the nature of the chaos, this UI wasn't suitable to be used in the 900 million world layers, because the foundation of civilization came from order. Complete chaos would destroy everything. The 900 million world layers would come to an end due to chaos. Not to mention, the Soul Shrieker was still chasing after me. With that in mind, Gu Qing-shan didn't waste any more time. Lola, I'm here, full speed ahead to Riddle World, got it? Ship Queen of Thorns began to move, gradually accelerating along a secret flight path. Please remember this book's original domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 1052. Gu Qing-shan, what's going on with Jang Young-ho? Lola used telepathy to silently ask Gu Qing-shan. He's carrying chaos. Wait a minute, you didn't carry chaos, did you? Gu Qing-shan asked. I didn't, but I'm constantly receiving new reports that the entire 900 million world layers has fallen into chaos. All sorts of killings are happening, Lola replied. Gu Qing-shan sighed. As the Empress of the Bramble Bird Kingdom, Lola's intelligence network must be top-notch. If that's what she said, then there must be no mistake. The era of chaos, when everything is measured using chaos as the standard, the entire world will undergo an earth-shattering change. Just like when I killed the carrier of chaos. The relationship between people will become unprecedentedly fragile, because there are no rules that prevent anyone from doing anything. This is chaos. However, speaking of intelligence, I seem to have a way to obtain it. With that in mind, Gu Qing-shan wanted to stand up, but felt a wave of weakness and soreness. As if I've been emptied. He took out a can of stamina replenishing drink and drank it all at once. When his body felt a bit better, he took out a spirit energy and soul points replenishing drink and drank it all at once. However, He ran into a bit of trouble when drinking the soul points drink. Since the flavors were all random, the stamina drink this time was orange juice, the spirit energy drink was milk flavored, both of which were quite normal, but the soul points drink was a super spicy one. This flavor didn't seem to only affect his body, even if he used spirit energy to block out his sense of taste. He could still feel it. Gu Qingshan scowled, took small sips at first, then drank it all at once. Finally, I feel a bit better. Yi Fei Li's ability is truly outstanding, but it's a bit uncontrollable. Gu Qingshan tapped his inventory bag, took out a gourd of spirit spring water, and gulped it down to ease the burning sensation on his tongue. He walked into the cabin of the ship, picked a room to enter, and closed the door. Tapping his inventory bag, he took out the colorful rooster. This was the war god's new ability, War God Intelligence, which was attached to the colorful rooster statue. Gu Qingshan reached out and pulled on the comb. The colorful rooster came to life. It glanced at Gu Qingshan and greeted, "Yo, can't you see? Yeah, there's nothing we can do at the moment." Gu Qingshan added, "Today is the first day of the era of chaos. There are all sorts of news everywhere. What do you want to know?" The rooster asked. "Can't you provide information related to me?" "I want something like that," Gu Qingshan said. The colorful rooster replied, "At a crucial moment like this where chaos is about to descend, information is very useful, so let me give you a hint first. You should consider what kind of information you need. Thank you. How much soul points do you need?" Gu Qingshan asked. "We're old friends, what else is there to say?" Saying that, the colorful rooster stretched out its wings and made a heart shape. Gu Qingshan understood. The rooster made a heart shape, meaning you can pay as you see fit. Although I spent all of my soul points to complete the I-World technique, leaving only 2 soul points, fortunately, I met the master of the Southern Cross Nebula world on the way and earned another 50,000 soul points. I can't afford it. Gu Qingshan put her hand on the rooster's body and generously transferred 10,000 soul points over. The colorful rooster felt like it was floating, shouting in a lewd manner, "Oh, so much soul points! It feels so good! Ask me anything you want to know, I'll definitely tell you." Gu Qingshan replied, "I want to know the entity that gave me the star chart. What kind of arrangements did it make in Riddle World?" The colorful rooster replied, "This matter is too important and involves too much, so I can't tell you too much. I can only secretly reveal a bit of information. So troublesome?" "That's right, listen carefully, I'll only say it once, please. A powerful weapon that was abandoned for the sake of salvation. It is currently in a place that no one can reach, hidden away by the mysterious person who picked it up. You must find that item, as it is the beginning of saving the fate of the infinite worlds." After saying so, the rooster turned back into a statue and fell silent. Gu Qingshan silently pondered the rooster's words. A powerful weapon discarded for the sake of salvation. Have I ever thrown away a weapon? No, as long as it's a weapon that belongs to me, I've never done so. Gu Qingshan slowly recalled. Suddenly, he remembered something. The soul carving blade. This is an item specifically used to create soul artifact. When I returned to this timeline, it was left behind in the age of old by the Earth Creator. Could it be the soul carving blade? Also, during the Battle of Huangquan, I once used the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword to turn the Grand Tai Wei Mountain into a giant and tossed the 7-colored spear away. That's right. A powerful weapon discarded for the sake of salvation. This could be referring to either the soul carving blade or the 7-colored spear. In other words, Riddle World hides the whereabouts of one of these 2 items, and this item will be extremely useful in the future. The soul carving blade can be used to create many soul artifacts. The 7-colored spear doesn't seem to be usable. Gu Qingshan sat there and carefully pondered. At another location, the Dead Wilderness, the war between the Holy Church of Death and the Temple of Mysteries had reached its climax. Due to the Holy Church of Mysteries' ambush, The Holy Church of Death was caught off guard and suffered heavy losses. Black Crow had no choice but to join the fray. Black Dog was still hiding inside the Holy Church. He stood guard in front of the bronze gate without moving. "Anna, don't worry, I'll protect this place," Black Dog muttered in a low voice. Inside the bronze gate, as Anna and Lynn stood on the stone slab, it began to move. Maintaining its stability, it slowly flew deeper into the darkness. Silence. Complete darkness. Anna could hear her own rhythmic breathing, but she couldn't hear Gu Qingshan's sister breathing at all. Until now, after a long while, the stone slab was still floating in a certain direction. Aside from where they were standing, there was still nothing but a dark abyss below, no end in sight and no path behind. Silence. Anna tried to hold it in, but finally couldn't help but ask, "Are you there?" "I'm here," Lynn's voice answered. "I'm sorry, it's too quiet, and I haven't heard you breathing." Anna felt a bit embarrassed, but she couldn't help but say what she wanted to say. Lynn went silent for a bit, then replied, "I'm a martial artist, my breathing is longer than yours, and I'm used to breathing through my pores." Anna was relieved. "So that's how it is, right? Are you really Gu Qingshan's elder sister?" "I've never heard of him having an elder sister before." I guess I'm his elder sister," Lynn replied. "Sort of?" Anna repeated. She seemed to have noticed something amiss. "Yes, we went through a few things together, made the same preparations for a certain goal, then called each other brother and sister," Lynn casually replied. "I have to say this, I can't admit that I'm his real sister. If I'm his real sister, then I won't be able to cover up my lie." Lynn told herself that in her mind. Anna was so attracted by what she said that she wasn't even afraid of the dark space anymore. "Why would he call you his elder sister? Why not older brother and younger sister, but older sister and younger brother?" Anna asked. "Why not older brother and younger sister?" Lynn repeated herself, then explained, "Because with his meager strength, he can only be a younger brother in front of me, not an older brother." Anna knew how strong Gu Qingshan was, so she sighed. "You're so strong, have you fought before? Did you hurt him?" Lynn fell silent. "Hurt him? This topic is a bit hard to continue." "Look, I think I saw something flying in front of us just now," Lynn said. "Ah, is that so?" Sure enough, Anna's attention was caught. She waved her hand to release a cluster of flames. The flames illuminated Anna's beautiful face, dispelling the deep darkness and silence around them, revealing their surroundings to them. Both of them were stunned. Lynn also didn't expect to see such a scene. Strange, could this place be able to block my senses? Why didn't I sense anything before? Lynn couldn't help but mutter. Around the two of them, walls after walls were quite far away from each other, but all of them extended vertically upwards into the endless darkness of the sky. There was no way to see what was at the bottom of these walls, because there was also a bottomless abyss below the walls. All of these walls were made from corpses of all shapes and sizes. Many of the corpses were recognizable, because such creatures also existed within the 900 million world layers. But there were also some corpses that had never been seen before, and they clearly didn't belong to normal life forms, giving off an air of antiquity. Anna was just about to open her mouth to discuss this matter with Lynn, but Lynn had already covered her mouth. "What do you mean?" Anna looked at Lynn doubtfully. Lynn pointed towards a certain direction with her chin. Anna turned to look. On the wall of corpses, two huge palms stretched out from the wall, trying to feel around the surroundings. Under the illumination of the flames, they appeared to be irritated and angry. A pair of hands wouldn't have emotions. Obviously, something was inside the wall of corpses. It was still alive. Lynn suddenly reached her hand out and extinguished the flames Anna had released. Darkness returned to their surroundings. For a while, both of them fell silent. After a while, Lynn spoke with a solemn and low tone. "No wonder you needed a bodyguard, but what?" Anna also whispered. "But why do I feel like this scene is a bit familiar?" Lynn doubtfully asked. "P.S. Fellow readers, I'm Fireworks City, recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, zero ads, and multiple reading mode. Dear readers, please pay attention to it. Chapter 1053. The flames had already been extinguished. The passage of time had become indiscernible. In the darkness, the stone slab carrying Anna and Lynn silently floated forward. Walls made entirely of corpses, one after another, reaching deep into the sky and the ground. They were like giant trees that formed a terrifying forest of corpses. Most of the time, the stone slab had to go around them in order to continue forward. Anna held Lynn's hand tightly. The two of them stayed on the stone slab, remaining silent. During the flight, it wasn't always silent. Sometimes, Anna could clearly hear some movements coming from the walls, as well as the sound of people talking. Whenever that happened, Lynn would always squeeze Anna's hand, telling her to be careful and not to look around. Until a certain moment, the stone slab's speed slowly slowed down. It stopped in the middle of a deep darkness, completely still. Anna looked around. Walls of corpses that connected the sky and the ground filled her vision. Other than that, there was only darkness. The stone slab they were standing on was like a speck of dust in the middle of a vast world, insignificant. The stone slab isn't moving, Anna couldn't help but whisper. Lynn absent-mindedly replied. Seeing the other party's blank expression, Anna thought that it was better to make the decision herself. There must be a reason why the stone slab is still here. Why exactly? Anna stood at the edge of the stone slab, wanting to see if there was anything special around. She suddenly noticed that there was a broken wall of corpses right below the stone slab. Unlike the other corpse walls, this one seemed to have suffered a great impact and was cut in half, revealing what was inside. There was a secret passage hidden inside the wall. So that's what it was. Then it seems we'll have to go down, Anna sighed in relief. Lynn nodded. I'll go down first, after I'm sure it's safe. You can go down, Lynn said. Anna replied. It's fine, since there's a passage. Listen to me. Lynn cut her off and spoke with an extremely solemn tone. Anna was a bit surprised and raised her eyebrows. Lynn also noticed that her tone wasn't quite right, so she sighed. I'm sorry, I forgot myself, I should have told you. She paused a bit and said, This place is the eternal abyss. The eternal abyss? Anna exclaimed in shock. Yes. Lynn looked down at the hidden passage and said in a low voice, Even in the abyss, it is very rare to see a real path that leads down. I just checked, and I'm afraid that no one has been here for tens of thousands of years. Even in the abyss, this is an extremely hidden place, so we must be careful. Wait for me. After saying that, her figure moved and she descended. Anna knelt on one knee at the edge of the stone slab and watched as Lynn's figure was gradually swallowed by the darkness. The other side. The space turbulence. On a certain hidden route. Guqing Shan, we're about to reach Riddle World, Lola's voice sounded. How much longer? Guqing Shan asked. Do you see the colorful star in front of us? I see it. Is that it? No, it is a dead planet. Life cannot survive on it. Riddle World is hidden in the green light to the north of the planet. The green light is the entrance to the world. I see. While they were talking, the Queen of Thorns had sped up and headed towards the green light. Half an hour later, the ship finally entered the green light. Guqing Shan's vision changed. Large patches of forest covered everything within his field of vision. Remember, from now on you can't speak. As long as you don't speak, no one will be able to do anything to you, Lola's voice resounded in Guqing Shan's mind. This was the power of telepathy. Guqing Shan looked at the transparent orange light that enveloped her body and slowly nodded. I'm not a troublemaker. This orange light was the protective power of the laws of this world, capable of protecting everyone. As long as you don't speak. While Guqing Shan was observing the scenery below the ship, the star chart in her mind once again manifested in the void of space. A figure of light appeared in front of Guqing Shan. The Earth Creator. However, this figure was illusory and didn't contain any power. This is a recording from several 10,000 years ago. I am currently observing the future and leaving behind a scene of that time for you. The Earth Creator's voice continued to resound. Gu Qingshan silently nodded as she looked at the figure of light. The Earth Creator is truly powerful, being able to set up a backup plan several 10,000 years in the future. This is completely beyond the imagination of a normal person. The Earth Creator was able to see fragments of the future. The only time it was careless was when it returned to several 10,000 years in the past. When it returned to the past, the calamity of the reality gate had just erupted and killed it. I have sealed something away and placed it in Riddle World after several 10,000 years. It is still buried at the bottom of the water, undiscovered by anyone. Before meeting you, it will not leave Riddle World. That place is called the Sunset Bridge. The thing I buried is in the riverbed under the bridge, covered by mud and covered by rocks. Go find it. After saying so, the Earth Creator's figure of light was about to fade away, but abruptly became solid again. It stared closely at the void of space and quickly spoke. I can see fragments of chaos. The one chasing after you has become incredibly powerful. You cannot go against it with your current strength. Gu Qingshan, I can only see fragments of your past. You need to quickly think of a way to deal with it. Otherwise, what awaits you will be eternal death. Gu Qingshan went silent. The more chaos the Soul Shrieker spreads, the faster it becomes. I've already suffered one of the Soul Shrieker's attacks from afar. It's impolite not to reciprocate, and I can't always take a beating. Although I'm still far from this eternal monster's level, the Earth Creator might have a way to deal with it. Unfortunately, this is only a projection that the Earth Creator had set up, so I can't communicate with it. But if I've already said this much, doesn't this big shot have any ideas? Sure enough, the Earth Creator continued, I am currently searching for a way to deal with it. Who would have thought that it would become so powerful in the future? How strange, why didn't I try to stop it? The Earth Creator's voice slowly became weaker and weaker, eventually turning into inaudible silence. Gu Qingshan paused for a while. The projection completely faded away. It seems the Earth Creator only set up this much here. I can only hope that the next time its projection appears, there will be some new hint. Gu Qingshan sighed, then turned to Zhang Yongho and asked, Do you know a place called Sunset Bridge? I do. It's a bridge that connects an aquatic city to the outside world. Very famous. Direction? Zhang Yongho checked and pointed. Gu Qingshan said, Lola, fly east. Got it? The ship adjusted its direction and flew towards the east. Gu Qingshan stood on the deck of the ship, observing Riddle World. A few moments later, all of a sudden, Gu Qingshan noticed that the layer of orange light around her body broke and slowly disappeared. It wasn't just her, everyone else on the ship was the same. What's going on? How strange, that's the law of Riddle World, Zhang Yongho couldn't help but ask. A sigh resounded from the deck of the ship. Boss laid on the ground and casually replied. Chaos has completely descended. It has already destroyed this world's law. From now on, this world will be filled with chaos and disorder. No power will protect anyone. At this point, the ship had arrived at a city. Everyone stood on the ship and looked down. The law of Riddle World had changed. The law of this world that would protect you if you didn't speak had disappeared. There was no longer any peace within the city. Plagues spread, meteors rained down, the earth trembled, floods flooded, hurricanes wreaked havoc, extreme cold descended. Swarms of strange insects devoured the corpses on the ground under the command of certain carriers of chaos. On the ground, robbery, rioting, murder, arson, cannibalism, skinning, amputation, sacrifice, decapitation could be seen everywhere. This was utter chaos. Gu Qingshan scowled as she watched. He turned his gaze to the two UI in front of him, wanting to see how they were facing chaos. The Demon King Order seemed to have become a frightened bird, constantly reminding him to flee. However, amidst the string of run for your life notifications, there was an occasional chaos, has become even stronger interspersed in between. Gu Qingshan turned his gaze to the war god Ui. The war god Ui was clean and unresponsive. Gu Qingshan silently asked in his mind, "War god Ui?" Ting! There was a crisp sound. "I'm here," the war god Ui replied. "You seem to be very quiet lately," Gu Qingshan commented. Chapter 1054. You've decided not to interfere with the matter between order and chaos? Gu Qingshan asked. "That's right," the war god Ui replied. "But if chaos engulfs the world, everything will be overturned, countless people will kill each other, just like the Demon King order," Gu Qingshan continued. "Indeed," the war god Ui agreed. After saying so, it went silent. Gu Qingshan waited for a while, but the war god Ui still didn't say anything. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but think about it for a bit. The Demon King order had existed for countless years, but the war god Ui had never said anything about it. Since that was the case, when chaos appeared, the war god Ui wouldn't say anything either. "Listen, the entire world is currently engulfed by chaos. Countless living beings will die at this moment," Gu Qingshan spoke in a low voice. The war god Ui replied, "Chaos has descended, it will embrace living beings and bring them great power, but the ones who truly drive chaos to kill will always be living beings." Gu Qingshan was surprised. The war god Ui continued, "Neither chaos nor order can control everything, the true deciding factor is the hearts of living beings. Even a true god would not be able to stop the hearts of living beings from producing good or evil. This is the power and terror of obsession." Gu Qingshan fell silent. "That's right. Chaos is like a weapon. Order is the same. The one who decides everything is the one who uses it. The carriers of chaos, who create chaos and kill without thinking, are all acting according to their own desires." No wonder the war god Ui remained silent about this. "Although you're right, I can't just ignore everything," Gu Qingshan sighed. The war god Ui replied, "You can do whatever you want, because you are also one of the living beings." Gu Qingshan lightly nodded. When he was about to summon his flying sword, he heard a displeased voice next to him. "I really can't stand it anymore," Zhang Yongho said. "Relax, that's how chaos is. The meaning of its existence is to completely release the desires of humans," Boss casually replied. "That's perfect, I'm going to exercise a bit." Zhang Yongho took out 2 cards, turned them into daggers, and held them in hand. But someone stopped him. "I'll do it. Ever since I came to the 900 million world layers, I've never seen anything like this," Yi Feili said. "You're currently a duke of the Bramble Bird Kingdom. You can't show your face," Zhang Yongho argued. "What about you?" Yi Feili was not to be outdone. "I'm an assassin, I have many ways to hide my face," Zhang Yongho said. "Me too," Yi Feili said. Following this voice, a blazing red light dived down from the spaceship. Yi Feili didn't wait for Zhang Yongho to say anything. She spread her scarlet wings and leaped into the air, descending into the crowd like a meteor. He smashed a deep hole in the ground. Yi Feili knelt in the middle of the pit, took out a mask from her pocket and put it on. It was a lifelike steel mask. The eyes were empty, the expression was blank, the nose resembled a long bird's beak, and the mouth had a stiff smile. The mask seemed to be trying to flatter someone, but if you take a closer look, you'll notice that it was actually laughing at something. The murder clown mask. Yi Feili put on the mask, hummed a small tune, and staggered out of the hole. "Ah? Why do I feel like he's not the same person from before?" Boss saw this and asked with interest. Gu Qingshan and Zhang Yongho exchanged glances. "He's actually a very talented improviser," Zhang Yongho commented. The clown was leisurely strolling down the street, then suddenly picked up a corpse from the ground and carefully observed it. What a charming old man," Saying so, the clown had manifested a hook in his hand. One of the 3 divine armaments of Huang Quan, the Forgetting River Soul Flaying Hook. He used the long hook to poke the corpse, and the corpse immediately stood upright, motionless in the same place. The clown then bowed to the corpse and sincerely said, "You help me, I'll help you, let's be good friends, all right?" The corpse didn't answer. The clown walked up, held the corpse's head in his hand, and moved it up and down to make the corpse nod. The clown changed his tone and replied, "All right, let's be good friends." After that, the clown clapped his hands and smiled in satisfaction. Following that, the clown clumsily climbed up the corpse. He stood on top of the corpse's head, using his hand to look around. "Clang clang clang, you unscrupulous scoundrels, I really like you guys. Look, to be a bit more open, I purposely put on a mask," the clown muttered, then suddenly screamed, "What an exhilarating massacre!" The clown crouched down, turned the hook in his hand over and stuck it on the corpse, speaking with a cheerful tone. "As a good friend of mine, I shall fulfill your wish first." The hook lightly hooked. An invisible air current flew out from the corpse, was swung to the ground by the hook, and turned into the figure of a man. This man looked exactly the same as the man at the clown's feet. His eyes were bleeding, his expression was full of grief and indignation as he spoke to the clown. The clown put his hand to his ear, acting like he was seriously listening. Something miraculous happened. The clown seemed to be able to hear what the other party was saying as he nodded. "Ah, he was killed, his wife and daughter taken away? Tsk, fiske, kiske. What an exhilarating scene!" The clown crouched down on top of the corpse's head and propped the hook on his shoulder. "Are you ready?" The hook vibrated. The clown put a finger in front of his lips, licked it, and began to whistle. "Oh oh!" The sound wave abruptly spread. Everyone froze, unable to move. The shrill whistle continued to spread, slowly enveloping the entire city. Very quickly, everyone in the city froze in place, unable to move at all. Gu Qingshan was moved. "How remarkable!" Zhang Yung-ho covered his ears and scowled. "What happened? Why did all these people fall unconscious?" Gu Qingshan explained. "The first god's chosen skill that Yi Fei Li awakened was listen. I'm guessing this ability has evolved to a very high level, able to borrow the power of the Forgetting River Soul Separating Hook to perform a sound-type attack, forcing everyone's soul out of their body." Zhang Yung-ho was surprised. "So that's how it is. It seems he's learned quite a bit after spending so much time with ghosts and souls." Boss also smiled and said, "What a wonderful performance it seems to be a bit similar to a time-type technique. Although it isn't a true time-type technique, the effect would be the same. What a great idea!" In the city below the airship, the murder clown climbed down from the corpse's head, telling the soul of the man from before, "Come, take me to the scene." The soul nodded and brought the clown towards a secluded corner. Only to see a man forcing a few women into a corner, holding a dagger in his hand, his mouth wide open as if he was shouting something. The man's eyes were filled with a murky light of lust as he stood still. The clown walked forward and waved his hand in front of the man's eyes. "Ah ha ha ha, how cute, he can't see me at all," the clown joked with the soul of the man next to him. The man hurriedly said something to the clown, kneeling and kowtowing non-stop. The clown shook his head and sighed. "I can only save your wife and daughter, but I won't do something like killing." The clown hummed a small tune, took the dagger from the frozen man's hand and gave it to the soul. The soul's expression was full of disbelief. After he died, he was clearly unable to touch anything in reality. But at this moment, he was actually holding the dagger. The clown whispered into the soul's ear, "A debt of blood must be paid in blood." The soul looked at the dagger in his hand, then at the frozen man, uttered a soundless roar and jumped forward. Blood splattered. The clown turned around. He looked at the horde of souls behind him and gestured for them to keep quiet. The souls were originally begging him, but as they saw his gesture, they were too scared to move. All of a sudden, the clown roared, "Frowny face, the amusement park is about to close. There are only 3 minutes of revelry left." The ghosts scattered in an uproar. This was their only chance to take revenge after being killed. All the souls went berserk and jumped at the chaos carriers. The slaughter began again. But this time, it wasn't chaos, it was revenge. A debt of blood must be paid in blood. All of a sudden, a pained roar resounded. "Damn it, whose hallucination technique is this? You trash, you dare to attack this great one, die!" The murder clown tilted its head, and was about to fly towards the direction of the voice. Although this technique is powerful, its own strength isn't high enough. In this world, there are still a few particularly powerful entities, or living beings that are naturally immune to this type of attack that have already awakened. But before the murder clown could move, a few sword phantoms appeared in the sky. That tyrannical roar instantly disappeared. The murder clown looked up and waved its hand at the sky. "I'm so happy to have reinforcements." The clown laughed. It didn't care about those that were too powerful anymore, instead happily clapping its hands, humming a tune, lightly dancing between the corpses and blood. Occasionally, it would run into one or two carriers of chaos that the souls couldn't kill, so the clown would step forward and carefully cut off their heads with its hook. 3 minutes. It quickly ended. Every living person returned to normal. The mother and daughter who were forced into a corner were filled with despair and sorrow, only to find that the thug in front of them had already fallen. The thug was covered in blood, his entire body was slashed to pieces, lying on the ground, no longer breathing. A soul stood in front of the thug's body. He smiled at his wife and daughter, and the outline of his entire body gradually disappeared. The dagger fell to the ground with a clang. Using the clown's ability, he had completed his final protection. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 1055. The chaos ended just like that. Yi Fei-Li leapt up and returned to Queen of Thorns. It wasn't until he took off his mask that Zhang Yung-ho told him, "Well done, it's been a while since I've done anything, I've finally gotten a bunch of chaos." Yi Fei-Li smiled brightly, looking extremely carefree. It was impossible to tell that he was the soul-sucking clown. Gu Qingshan's inner sight scanned through the entire city. Over half of the carriers of chaos had died. But there were also a few carriers of chaos who didn't attack normal people, so they managed to escape. They had their own rules of conduct, so there shouldn't be any more massacres like before. "What kind of chaos did you get?" Gu Qingshan asked with interest. Yi Fei-Li stared at the void of space and replied, "They're currently fusing. Wait a minute, it's coming out now." "Soul-sucking clown, TSH, what a lazy name," Yi Fei-Li complained. But the excited look in his eyes betrayed his inner thoughts. Not bothering to talk to the others, Yi Fei-Li began to test out the functions of his UI. Gu Qingshan and Zhang Yung-ho exchanged glances, feeling a bit helpless. This brat. He's definitely using chaos as a game template. Gu Qingshan originally wanted to warn Yi Fei-Li about a few things to change his perception of chaos. But then, if Yi Fei-Li can play this chaos template to its peak, fine, let him be. Gu Qingshan told everyone, "Alright, wait here for a bit, I'll go down and look for that thing." He activated ground shrink and disappeared from the deck of the ship. Although chaos hadn't been around for too long, the entire city was already in ruins. Gu Qingshan arrived at Sunset Bridge and carefully observed it. This place used to have a beautiful scenery, the sky and water were one could even see the sunset and sunset at dusk. But the world was already in ruins. For the past countless years, the combatants and organizations didn't care about this bridge. As a powerhouse, wherever he wanted to go, he would either fly or teleport. The Sunset Bridge was too ordinary. It was meant for weak commoners to use, so it couldn't attract the interest of any powerful figures. Therefore, no one realized that there were not many stones in the mud at the bottom of the river. As for those big stones, they could be counted on one hand. Gu Qingshan remained silent. A long sword flew out from his back and pointed at the river. Chow Yin sword. The surging waves of the river spread to both sides along with the mud. The scene at the bottom of the river was completely exposed in front of Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan's spiritual sense lingered on a big rock at the bottom of the river for a long time. He felt the power of the earth. This power was so well hidden that he would not have noticed it if he was not a new earth god. At this point, the Earth Creator's long sigh resounded. The apocalypse is spreading, the abyss has invaded the 900 million world layers, even more unpredictable things are silently occurring. Regarding your experiences, I can only see this fragment at most. Looking forward from here, everything in the future is blurry. Originally, I wanted to prepare a few more tricks for you in the star chart. This has always been my expertise. Unfortunately, the war between order and chaos has created unprecedented uncertainty in the future, so this is as far as I can help you. Go get that thing. The star chart in Gu Qingshan's mind abruptly disappeared. So even the Earth Creator could only do this much. Facing the future of the war between order and chaos, it couldn't see what would happen next. It could only use the star chart to leave something that it felt would be useful to Gu Qingshan. What could it be? Gu Qingshan flew down. He held the Chow Yin sword and lightly slid it across the rock. The rock broke apart to reveal something in front of Gu Qingshan. It was a fragment about the size of a finger with a beautiful 7-colored luster. The Earth Creator's voice resounded again. Gu Qingshan, you've seen the Soul Shrieker's spear. This is a small fragment from that spear. Once you hold this fragment, you will be able to sense the location of that spear. Take it, it will lead you to that spear. I can't explain why, but I feel like this spear is the key to restraining the Soul Shrieker. In truth, I didn't notice this at first. The reason I left this fragment with you was to lead you to the location of the spear. All hope will begin from their time is of the essence. The Earth Creator's voice slowly faded away. Gu Qingshan looked at the 7-colored fragment. He reached his hand out and picked it up. Lines of glowing text appeared on the war god. You, a frowny face, you've obtained one of the 7 saint armaments of the abyss, the fragment of Abaddon. In a desperate battle, destroyer of all was struck and dropped this fragment. Once you hold it in your hand, you will be able to sense the location of the spear. Return this fragment to Abaddon, it will change its impression of you. Gu Qingshan stared at the 7-colored fragment and couldn't help but chuckle bitterly. To save the Samsara world, I tossed that spear out of the Grand Tai Wei mountain. Who would have thought, after going around for so long, I would still have to find it myself? Gu Qingshan held the 7-colored fragment in his hand and silently sensed it. A few moments later, there was a faint feeling coming from a faraway place. A rapidly moving image appeared in Gu Qingshan's mind. He found himself moving forward. Countless worlds were approaching him, then quickly retreating to either side. The space vortex was also being left behind. Before he knew it, he had already reached the edge of the eternal abyss. Moving forward, passing through the destructive winds of chaotic tribulation, flying in a direction that living beings could never reach, almost tirelessly. In this state of near total destruction, time and space could no longer measure anything. It felt like over 10,000 years had passed, but it also felt like only a split second had passed. There seems to be something in that direction. Wait a minute. As Gu Qingshan was about to take a closer look, he was abruptly pulled back. He found that he was still standing where he was. It's too far away, there's no way for me to go there right now, Gu Qingshan sighed helplessly. He shook his head, then used ground shrink to return to the ship. Zhang Yongho and Yi Feili were sitting together, staring straight at the void of space while discussing the power of chaos. Boss was originally playing Yi Feili's game, but ran into a checkpoint that he couldn't beat, so he was currently reading a guide. Lola's voice quickly came. Gu Qingshan, where are we going next? Wait a minute, I need to think a bit. Gu Qingshan felt a headache coming on. Originally, He wanted to take a look at the Earth Creator's arrangements, then meet up with Su Cher and Ning Yuechan. Of the 3 coins, I'm only missing the Angel of Condemnation. I can summon the Great Bramble Tree at any time. The Demon King Order is with me. I'm also missing the Angel of Condemnation. Once I meet up with Su Cher and Ning Yuechan, I'll be able to gather the 3 coins and use space-time reversal to return to the past. I'm going to save Lady Black Sea. The Lord-class combatants will also be saved. Unfortunately, now that the era of chaos has arrived, the Soul Shrieker is still chasing after me. Who knows, when it becomes stronger, it might throw a terrifying monster at me from countless world layers away. What can I do to get to the Holy Church of Fate? If I go there, wouldn't I be drawing this monster over as well? Damn it. The difference in strength is too great. I can't go against the Soul Shrieker with my current strength. But if I were to retrieve the 7-colored spear right now, it would be too far away. Not to mention how to pass through the winds of chaotic tribulation, the eternal abyss itself was an insurmountable chasm. The abyss doesn't treat living beings of the 900 million world layers kindly, so Lin's teammates were all wiped out. Not to mention, the apocalypse of a parallel world is still wreaking havoc there. That place contains the most terrifying fate corrosion. If it was before, I could slowly think of a way to get there. But now that the Soul Shrieker is still chasing after me, I don't have the time to waste. Guqing Shan fell into a state of hesitation. He took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Is there really no other way? As Guqing Shan silently pondered, he suddenly recalled something. When it came to fighting against the Soul Shrieker, there was an order in the past who managed to stop it with just 2 primary-level soldiers. War God Yu, do you still remember Water God? Guqing Shan asked. Ting. After a clear chime, the War God Yu I replied, frowny-face, I do. I once activated a large-scale war system within a fragment of a parallel world and evolved it into a human army. Her name was Water God. Guqing Shan nodded. That was the large-scale war system of the bygone-era humans. It was finally activated and evolved during the Age of Old to become an order. Unfortunately, when I returned, it was left behind by the Earth Creator in the Age of Old. As for the current Water God, she was most likely destroyed by the Soul Shrieker during that battle in the Age of Old. Do you want to awaken Water God again? The War God Yu I asked. Yes, her power left a deep impression. I believe she would be able to help me greatly, Guqing Shan replied. The War God Yu I replied. In order to travel through time and return to the final moment of your past life, the soul points that I had accumulated over countless years had been used up during the Age of Old. It is not enough to awaken Water God. Guqing Shan was a bit surprised, then hurriedly said, I can collect more soul points. The War God Yu I replied. There is no time. The only way for you to awaken other orders is to use the Demon King Order. It has always had this ability. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 1056. Queen of Thorns Ship. Guqing Shan was still conversing with the War God Yua. Water God evolved from humanity's large-scale war system, while chaos grew stronger through spreading. Then, where exactly did they come from? Guqing Shan pursued. The War God Yui remained silent. Obviously, it didn't want to say anything. Guqing Shan could only give up. Using his inner sight to scan his thoughts, he found that the star chart left behind by the Earth Creator had already disappeared. The Earth Creator didn't leave any information about Water God's whereabouts. Guqing Shan thought for a long time, considered various possibilities, and couldn't help but sigh. There's too little information. Right now, the Demon King Order is like a startled bird, completely unreliable. If only I could use it to awaken Water God. The power of the human army cannot be underestimated, and if it has the space to grow and evolve, the Soul Shrieker might not necessarily be its match. This way, the Soul Shrieker wouldn't be able to focus on me. Secondly, with a new order as its opponent, chaos wouldn't be able to turn the 900 million world layers into a mess. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and finally decided on what he wanted to do. He asked, War God Ui, I have one last question. Ask, if the apocalypse gets too close, will order and chaos work together to fight against the apocalypse? The war god Ui replied, They will fight against the apocalypse separately. This answer was ingenious enough to illustrate the relationship between the two. Gu Qingshan nodded and stopped talking to the war god Ui. He turned his inner sight to another Ui. The red Ui, Demon King Order. Gu Qingshan called out, Come out, we need to talk. A line of eye-catching red text appeared on the Demon King Order. Ui frowny face, please flee as soon as possible. The envoy of chaos is approaching. Reading this line of text, Gu Qingshan cleared his throat. About that, I want to tell you, other than fleeing, there's something else we can do. Another line of eye-catching red text appeared on the Demon King Order. Ui. The order has been thoroughly defeated. Please flee as soon as possible. The envoy of chaos is approaching. Gu Qingshan clicked her tongue. Could it be that order had lost its will to fight? Gu Qingshan considered her words for a bit, then encouraged him. There's no need to feel discouraged. I've already killed the Soul Shrieker in the Age of Old. You should still remember that. So what we should do now is to plan and think of a better way to kill it again. Don't be afraid of it. As long as we work hard together, we can definitely do it. After Gu Qingshan finished speaking, a few lines of red text quickly appeared on the Demon King Order SUI. The era of chaos has descended, the Soul Shrieker's strength is rapidly increasing and will soon reach a point where you will never be able to catch up, so the only thing we can do now is run for your life. Gu Qingshan stared blankly at these lines of red words for a while. This order could no longer be communicated with properly. It was also called the Demon King Order. Indeed, the situation was very urgent. But what else can you do with your current state? Gu Qingshan lost her patience. He told the Demon King Order, about your problem. It's like this, if you're still this weak, I'm going to find a dying person to put you in, then throw you to the envoy of chaos. Truthfully, I don't need to die with a trashy order. Like you, Gu Qingshan continued with an indifferent and emotionless tone. I'm sure you know that if I was able to kick you out in the Age of Old, I can still do the same now. Hearing that, all the content on the Demon King Order SUI disappeared. A moment of silence. 2 breaths. 3 breaths. A line of blood-red text quickly appeared. Frowny face, what do you want to say? This order is all ears. Gu Qingshan clapped her hands and enthusiastically said, That's more like it. It would have been much better if you had this attitude from the start. Another line of text appeared on the blood-red UI. Venerable Demon King of Condemnation, please speak slowly. Gu Qingshan nodded. If you've regained your composure, then let me ask you, why didn't you awaken the other orders to fight against chaos together? The blood-red text paused briefly before displaying new lines of content. Frowny face, I only had a single mission, that is to summon the Demon King. Gu Qingshan asked, Did you manage to do that? Half done. Half? How so? Gu Qingshan was surprised. The Demon King Order explained. Because the Soul Shrieker entered the Fallen Zones at a crucial moment, my summoning wasn't completed and only summoned a corpse. Where's the corpse? Gu Qingshan asked. The Soul Shrieker destroyed it. The Demon King Order replied. Gu Qingshan recalled the information she had gathered and nodded. I remember now, the Soul Shrieker seemed to have fought against that corpse for a very long time. If that corpse had such power, why didn't you continue the summoning? The Demon King Order replied. All resources have been used up, the Soul Shrieker didn't give me enough time to arrange a second summoning. Gu Qingshan sighed. And so, just as I thought, the only thing you can do right now is to awaken more orders, to fight against the Soul Shrieker together. That's not right, I only had a single mission, that is to summon the Demon King. The Demon King Order replied. Gu Qingshan shrugged. But the current situation doesn't allow you to summon the Demon King, you need other orders to appear that would at least be able to divert the Soul Shrieker's attention, the Demon King order insisted. No, I only had a single mission, that is to summon the Demon King. Gu Qingshan went silent. He muttered in thought. Seems like I'll need to find a dying person to put you inside, then throw him to the envoy of chaos. The Demon King order immediately replied. Please don't do that. If you do, the countless worlds within the void will be completely taken over by chaos. What does that have to do with me? Gu Qingshan was annoyed. I'm going to find a person right now. Forget it, let's find an animal and put you inside. After saying so, he turned to Zhang Yongho and shouted, Hey, Inghao, you've been to Riddle World before. What animal is the most common in this world? Zhang Yongho was discussing chaos with Yi Feili, so he was a bit surprised when he heard this. The most common animal? Although he didn't understand what Gu Qingshan meant, Zhang Yongho still seriously thought about it and answered. The most common animal in Riddle World would be pigs. Pigs? That's right, pigs. There are pigs everywhere. Gu Qingshan then stood up and walked towards the edge of the deck. He muttered. I'm going to catch a pig, put the order inside, then give it to the Soul Shrieker. That way I'll be safe. Boss was still lying there. Hearing his muttering, he couldn't help but open his eyes a bit and glanced at him. What kind of person was he? He could easily guess what was going on just by listening. Gu Qingshan's words were quite interesting, as if she was purposely saying it for someone else to hear. But there was no one else around. That was Gu Qingshan conversing with the final order. Could he be using this method to threaten the order? What a weirdo. Boss closed his eyes again. Gu Qingshan slowly walked to the edge of the deck and was about to jump down. A line of blood-red text quickly appeared and stopped him in place. Frowny face, Your Excellency, I admit my mistake. Please do not put me inside a pig's body. Why? Gu Qingshan curiously asked. I have a sacred mission. Do you only have a single mission? That is to summon the Demon King? No, I have another mission, which is to help you awaken the other orders. The Demon King order replied. Gu Qingshan raised his thumb and praised. As expected of the Demon King order, the Demon King order then continued. But before that, you must first find an order, before I can awaken it. This time, it was Gu Qingshan's turn to be stunned. Find an order? That's right. If I can't even find an order, how am I supposed to awaken it? Gu Qingshan fell into thought. Find an order. How do I find an order? Gu Qingshan silently muttered. He couldn't help but turn to Boss. Boss had sent Anna, Su Sher, Ning Yuechan, and Lin away from the Bramble Bird Kingdom in preparation for the war against chaos. Boss's background is mysterious, and he's also my mutual savior. Would he know where to find an order? Gu Qingshan immediately asked Boss. Boss closed his eyes and slowly replied. Don't look at me, I used to live in a very secluded place, so I've never had much contact with an order, so of course I wouldn't know where they're hiding. Gu Qingshan had no choice but to think of a solution himself. In the age of old, in order to help me safely return, Water God was stripped away by the Earth Creator and disappeared without a trace. Where would the Earth Creator place this slumbering card? Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 1057. Gu Qingshan dissected everything he knew, analyzed it bit by bit, and deduced it bit by bit. In the end, he let out a long sigh. There's too little information. Water God is currently sleeping inside a card. The Earth Creator peeled off the card and sent itself into the river of time. I don't know where the Earth Creator placed Water God. If I really can't find the Water God card, what should I do? I've actually come into contact with another order. The Heavenly God Order. But the Heavenly God Order is the Demon King Order's mortal enemy. Even if I can find it again, the Demon King order would perish together with it. I can only go to the giant corpse when I'm breaking through. I can't go right now either. Furthermore, the Heavenly God Order and Demon King Order are enemies, so it's probably not as strong as Water God. So I still need to find Water God. Gu Qingshan shook his head, slowly sat down on the edge of the deck, and began to seriously think about how to find Water God. Queen of Thorns continued to fly through the endless void of space. Time slowly passed. Gu Qingshan still couldn't come up with a solution. During this time, Lola specifically asked several times where Queen of Thorns should be heading. Gu Qingshan also couldn't tell him the ship's destination. He could only keep thinking and thinking. A few hours later, Lola came out of the cabin and sat next to Gu Qingshan. She tilted her head and peeked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan's eyes were covered with a piece of black cloth, his lips were pursed tight, and his thumb was propping up his chin. He was still contemplating. Seeing him like this, Lola silently stood up and left. Another 3 hours later, Lola returned. This time, she didn't peek and instead looked straight at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan still maintained his posture without changing at all. He was still contemplating. Lola silently sighed and poked Gu Qingshan. Lola? Gu Qingshan seemed to have woken up. Gu Qingshan, what's wrong? Lola asked. Gu Qingshan looked at the cute little girl in front of her and suddenly remembered something. Ah, that's right, Lola. Do you have any treasures that can help us find this thing? He asked. Of course, what are you looking for? Lola said happily. Order. Order? Isn't the Demon King order with you? I want to find another order. I've never heard of a treasure that can search for order. To be more precise, it's actually a card that contains the order. Think about it, you're the one with the most treasures after all, Gu Qingshan said. Lola shook her head and sighed. Treasures that can search for treasures are extremely rare in the first place. The true treasures are all mystic-type creations that need to be fulfilled before they can be activated. Seeing how desperate Gu Qingshan was, Lola seriously thought for a bit and continued. Most of these items can only search for physical objects, but what you're looking for is a card and an order, which has already gone beyond the realm of physical objects. No matter how I think about it, only a mystic-type treasure-seeking ability with its own intelligence would be able to do it. Don't look at me, I can only touch treasures, I can't search for them. Hearing Lola's explanation, Gu Qingshan suddenly recalled the colorful rooster. The colorful rooster was an item that carried War God information, so just like Lola said, it had a certain level of intelligence. Perhaps the rooster could find Water God? Unfortunately, the day hasn't ended yet, so the colorful rooster still can't be activated. Gu Qingshan directly asked the War God UI. War God UI, I want to find the Water God card. Can the colorful rooster give me any clues? Ting! There was a crisp sound. The War God UI replied. Regretfully, a War God information can only be collected from within the 900 million world layers that are related to you, as well as new occurrences. It does not have the ability to search for items. Gu Qingshan sighed helplessly. At this point, Lola looked at his haggard expression and couldn't help but think of something. She shook his arm and said, Don't think about it for now, I'm hungry, I want to eat your cooking. Alright, Gu Qingshan had no choice but to agree. Hearing that, Lola was happy. She bounced towards Zhang Yongho and Yi Feili to help move the table and chairs. Gu Qingshan took out pots and pans, as well as a variety of cooking utensils and condiments, arranging them on the table. Fine. Let's eat something first and get some fresh air. Maybe I'll have some new ideas later? With that in mind, Gu Qingshan decided to make a good meal. He raised a cleaver and told everyone, Alright, I'll be cooking today, consider it a celebration for us all to be together, order whatever you want. I want noodles. Yi Feili raised her hand. No, today isn't a good time to eat noodles. Gu Qingshan rejected right away. Then I want egg fried rice. Yi Feili changed her mind. That simple? Sure, Gu Qingshan agreed. Jang Young-ho glanced at Yi Fei Li and complained, "Can't you be a bit more ambitious? It's so rare for him to cook and you want egg fried rice?" "Ahaha, I've gotten used to it since I was still studying. It would be perfect if I had a soft drink," Yi Fei Li happily replied. "What about you?" Gu Qingshan looked at Jang Young-ho. Forget it, I also want egg fried rice, add a ham sausage and some alcohol," Jang Young-ho said. Gu Qingshan looked at Lola. "I've never eaten egg fried rice before, it sounds pretty good. I'll also eat this," Lola said. Gu Qingshan then looked at Boss. "I've also never eaten egg fried rice before. Sorry for the trouble," Boss smiled and said. "Alright, we'll eat egg fried rice today," Gu Qingshan decided. Jang Young-ho sighed. To be able to eat an egg fried rice in the void of space billions of worlds away before the apocalypse, it's quite rare. Lola pulled Yi Fei Li's sleeve and whispered, "My Duke, what exactly is egg fried rice?" Yi Fei Li also whispered back, "Your Majesty, this thing is very simple to make, many people know how to do it, but I've only seen Gu Qingshan make it so well that people can't stop praising it." Gu Qingshan didn't waste any more time and quickly prepared the ingredients. After a few quick and efficient cooking, 5 large plates of egg fried rice were ready to be served. 1 plate per person. She gave Lola a bottle of juice, Yi Fei Li a bottle of champagne, and Jang Young-ho a bottle of liquor. "What would you like to drink?" Gu Qingshan asked Boss. Boss looked at the others and said, "Give me a bottle of each, I'll try it." "Very well." Gu Qingshan gave him 3 bottles while mixing a cocktail for herself. "Come, let's all have a drink to celebrate that we're not dead yet." Yi Fei Li raised her glass. Jang Young-ho also raised his glass and glared at Yi Fei Li. "Pa, how can you make a toast like that? It's to celebrate us being able to enjoy good food together. It's clearly the apocalypse. While we're talking, many worlds are being destroyed by the apocalypse of parallel worlds. Even more worlds are falling into chaos," Yi Fei Li commented. "Do you have a solution?" Jang Young-ho was still staring at her. "I don't," Yi Fei Li dejectedly replied. "That's why we need to make sure that we're in a good state right now, so that we can act as soon as anything happens," Jang Young-ho said. "All right," Yi Fei Li agreed. "Well said," Gu Qingshan also agreed. Everyone had a drink, then began to eat. Gu Qingshan's cooking skills were naturally top-notch. Everyone ate and drank, occasionally talking for a bit. It was a rare moment of rest. After eating, Boss went to resurrect himself. Yi Fei Li continued to play with her chaos UI. Lola went to the ship's cabin. Jang Young-ho took out a bag and gave it to Gu Qingshan. "Help me take care of this, I'll feed the little guy." Gu Qingshan took a look and found that it was a fresh fish head, about the size of 2 palms, giving off a faint magical presence. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but comment, "This ingredient is quite good. Does it not eat egg pie and strawberry pie anymore?" Jang Young-ho replied, "Those are all junk food. I've already cured its picky eating habits." Gu Qingshan asked again, "Is this a fish from the magical world?" "It's fine for a human to eat, but it probably can't eat this much." "It can. After entering the 900 million world layers, it's actually still slowly growing, so eating this kind of food that contains power will help speed up its growth and evolution," Jang Young-ho replied. "Alright then, right, it likes sweet things." Gu Qingshan took the fish head, added a few beneficial spirit herbs, and began to carefully cook it. After a while, the fish head was taken out of the pot and placed on a plate. Smelling the aroma, Boss called out from the other side of the deck, "What is this?" "It smells so good," Jang Young-ho loudly replied. "My pet's food." Boss didn't say anything. Gu Qingshan put the plate on the ground, walked to one side, poured herself a glass of strong liquor, and slowly drank it. Jang Young-ho carefully took out a card and spoke softly. "It's time to eat, come out." The card landed on the deck of the ship. A hole appeared on the deck. A pitch-black kitten crawled out of the hole. It first looked at Jang Young-ho, meowed softly, then was instantly attracted by the fish head that gave off a sweet aroma. "Today, our old friend Gu Qingshan made you a fish head," Jang Young-ho said. Hearing that, the black cat turned to look at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan smiled and waved his hand as a greeting. The black cat also nodded to him, then lightly walked up to the plate. He began to eat the fish head. Zhang Yongho stood on one side, about to light a cigarette when he heard a clang. The glass in Gu Qingshan's hand fell to the ground. "What's the matter?" Zhang Yongho asked. Gu Qingshan acted like he didn't hear him at all, his eyes staring straight ahead as he slowly walked forward. He seemed to be giving off an indescribable feeling. But Zhang Yongho felt that something wasn't right. It was very rare for Gu Qingshan to be this emotional, even if he was trying his best to control his emotions. What happened? Yi Feili also noticed that something was wrong with Gu Qingshan and quickly ran over. Gu Qingshan waved his hand at Yi Feili, signaling that it was nothing. He walked towards the black cat. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 1058. Also, I've basically returned all the guild leaders, but many people on the donation ranking have changed their names. I counted, and apart from Silver Meng, there seems to be one more guild leader who hasn't returned. I can't find who it is. The guild leader who hasn't returned, please come out and say something. Sorry for the trouble also, please get a monthly vote today. Thank you everyone. World's Apocalypse Online 8 chapters, 20,000 words, asking for a monthly vote currently typing, please wait a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1059. The fish head smells so good. Black Cat happily ate it. Gu Qingshan looked at Black Cat and suddenly asked, "Inghao, I remember asking Black Cat to bring us together to search for space monster corpses. Ah, that's right, at the time, you asked me if I wanted to be your partner, so we went to the underground casino to cause a ruckus," Zhang Yongho replied. Gu Qingshan silently nodded. At the time, in order to activate the thaumaturgy, I needed space monster corpses. Black Cat brought me and Zhang Yongho to the underground casino, where they found the space monster corpses. Thinking about it, only a mystic-type treasure hunting ability with its own intelligence would be able to do it. This was what Lola said just now. Mystic-type treasure hunting ability, possessing its own intelligence. Black Cat fits the bill perfectly. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath and stroked Black Cat's fur. Meow? After being stroked for a while, Black Cat felt that it wasn't very professional or comfortable, so it looked up at him. "Hey." Gu Qingshan smiled and said, "I lost a card, can you help me find it?" Black Cat looked at him, then at the fish head in front of it. "This guy only knows how to cook." It pointed its paw at the fish head and complained, "Meow meow 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 meow." Zhang Yongho hurriedly crouched down and tried to smooth things over. It said not to touch it when it's eating, we can talk about it after. Gu Qingshan looked at Black Cat, only to see Black Cat was staring at her with a serious expression. Gu Qingshan hurriedly smiled apologetically. "Ah yes, yes, of course that's how it should be." It was now that the cat twitched its whiskers and turned back to seriously munch on the fish head. "This is a fish head that contains magical power. Not only is it delicious, but it also has many other benefits. Don't interrupt me while I'm eating, meow." Zhang Yongho pulled Gu Qingshan to one side and worriedly said, "Although my cat can find a lot of things, I'm afraid that the 900 million world layers is too big. It wouldn't be enough to find the card you mentioned. Has such a thing happened before?" Gu Qingshan asked. Zhang Yongho looked at the black cat and spoke with a gentle tone. "In order to help me find an enemy, it ran to several worlds in a row before fainting from exhaustion." Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and asked, "Is the black cat a card now?" "That's right, after I advanced from a God's Chosen to a card user, my God's Chosen skill turned into a card," Zhang Yongho answered. "Is there any way to strengthen this card?" "There isn't," Zhang Yongho sighed. "Ever since I advanced from a God's Chosen to a card user, I've found that these summoning abilities are very hard to improve. You haven't asked those who know? Gu Qingshan asked. I've asked many card users in the underground world, but they all said that it's very slow to improve a card. There's no way around it, Zhang Yongho replied. Gu Qingshan fell into thought. Wait a minute. That doesn't seem to be the case. Little Dusk is the Angel of Condemnation, the noblest card among all the cards in the 900 million world layers. I seem to recall her mentioning this before. There are 3 ways to improve a card. First, natural advancement. Second, consume other cards. Third, use the materials left behind by the old gods to improve. Natural advancement is the method that Zhang Yongho mentioned, one that all card users of the 900 million world layers regard as the truth. There's a certain technique to consuming other cards. Little Dusk once said that it must be a compatible card. Materials left behind by the old gods. Gu Qingshan now understood that this old gods probably didn't refer to the divine race, but rather the true gods. The phantom giant that released my soul in Tree's collection world wasn't a divine race. That's why materials left behind by the old gods should be useful. But it's very difficult to find materials left behind by the old gods in this era. However, it would be very difficult to find the materials left behind by the old gods in this era. Because of that, the only realistic way to advance is to consume cards. Gu Qingshan looked at the War God UI and muttered, "Show me card." All the notifications on the War God UI disappeared. An azure card appeared at the center of the UI. All the notifications on the War God UI disappeared. A bright blue card appeared at the center of the UI. On the card, Gu Qingshan wielded his sword with both hands. Identity. Envoy of Condemnation. Possess Azure Card of Condemnation. True Crimson Demon Spear. Possesses an Azure Condemnation card. True Crimson Demon Spear. Possess Azure Condemnation card. True Crimson Demon Spear. Ability. Card Gathering. Special note. Personal Iris World has been constructed, currently hibernating and accumulating power. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit. He lightly tapped the Azure card. True Crimson Demon Spear with his mind. Information about the True Crimson Demon Spear quickly appeared in his mind. All of this information was already known to Gu Qingshan. He tried to communicate with the card with his mind to ask how to evolve the True Crimson Demon Spear. Immediately, the card trembled a bit and replied with the corresponding information. 17 to 18 cards of various shapes and sizes appeared around the True Crimson Demon Spear: a sharp burial blade, soul-severing dagger, fangs of the frost, slumbering dragon, soul of the purgatory, flame cutter, ancient gale crystal. These were all cards that the True Crimson Demon Spear could consume to evolve. 2 lines of notification appeared on the True Crimson Demon Spear's card UI. Frowny face. Attention. The card must consume other cards according to their order in order for the card's power to steadily increase, otherwise there is a risk of collapsing. The special note. Only the Envoy of Condemnation can allow the card to consume other cards of the same nature to help the card evolve. Very well. Gu Qingshan clenched his fist tightly. He had tried countless methods, but still couldn't find Water God. But now, he finally saw a glimmer of hope. Ing Hao, I think I have a way to help your black cat evolve, Gu Qingshan told him. Really? Zhang Yongho joyfully asked. If anyone else had told him this, he wouldn't have believed them, but Gu Qingshan wasn't someone who liked to brag. That's right, after the black cat finishes eating, explain it to it, we'll try to help it evolve together, Gu Qingshan told him. He stood up and went to the cabin. A few moments later, Lola came up to the deck with him. Ah, what a cute cat! Lola's eyes lit up. She crouched down and stroked the black cat with her hand. The black cat's eyes moved a bit, but seeing that it was a cute and beautiful girl like Lola, it let her stroke it and focused on eating the fish head. What do you think? Gu Qingshan asked Lola. It's fine, but cards have always been rare items. Especially combat-type cards, they're hard to find. Although I do have a few in reserve, I'm afraid they're not what the black cat needs, Lola replied. Saying so, she couldn't help but ask, "Can you really help a card evolve?" "I think so, let's try it out later." Gu Qingshan was also a bit uncertain. Everyone patiently waited on one side. After the black cat finished eating, Jang Young-ho hugged it in his chest and patiently explained it to him. As the black cat listened, it occasionally glanced at Gu Qingshan. It was a card that belonged to Jang Young-ho, so to give it to someone else to use, it must be fully communicated with. After Jang Young-ho finished explaining, the black cat curiously looked at Gu Qingshan. "Meow meow 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 meow?" the black cat asked. "It finds it hard to imagine, so it's asking you if you can do it," Jang Young-ho translated for her. Gu Qingshan looked at the black cat and said, "Let's try it together, because the first thing we need to do is confirm which card you're compatible with before we can perform the card fusion." The black cat shrunk its body a bit hesitant. Gu Qingshan smiled and continued, "Since Jang Young-ho has already met up with me, I'll pay for your meals from now on." The black cat was a bit tempted, so it wiggled its ears and said, "Meow meow meow, meow 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 meow." It said it's fine, but you can't just give it cat food, Jang Young-ho said. "Don't worry, I'm not that kind of person," Gu Qingshan patted his chest and said. Seeing his attitude, the black cat nodded in satisfaction. Poof! It turned back into a card and fell into Jang Young-ho's hand. Jang Young-ho reluctantly gave the card to Gu Qingshan and couldn't help but ask, "It won't be dangerous, will it?" "It won't," Gu Qingshan replied. He received the card, only to see a black cat was drawn on top of a large bed, yawning with its eyes closed. "It's full. Will it stop it from devouring other cards if it's full?" At this point, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. At this point, lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI frowny face card. "Seeking cat, black fur. If the food you give the cat is satisfied, it will lead you to the item you want." A description. This is a newborn kitten. After arriving in the 900 million world layers, its stamina is no longer enough for it to complete a single long-distance search. A description. The kitten desires to grow, please help it. Gu Qingshan put this "Seeking Cat" card next to the True Crimson Demon Spear, placing it in the same column. He touched the card with his mind, and at the same time, he silently said, "Evolve." Immediately, numerous cards appeared around the Seeking Cat. These were all cards that it could devour, and they had to be done in order. After reading through them, Gu Qingshan looked at Lola. Lola held her backpack and seriously asked, "What kind of cards do you need?" "I'll start looking for them right away." "Ah, the first one doesn't seem to be a card for combat." "Then what is it?" "It's a card called Catnip," Gu Qingshan replied. Chapter 1060. Lola began to look through her backpack. "Catnip? That's a strange name. I think I've heard of it before," she said. "You've had a cat before?" Jang Young-ho tried asking. "Ah, yes, I did for a while. Where's the cat?" "It ate too well and accidentally evolved into a human form. Currently the captain of my third squad." Jang Young-ho and Gu Qingshan exchanged glances. Just what kind of food could turn a cat into a human, that's the question. "I got it." Lola took out a card from her backpack and gave it to Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan received the card, followed the instructions on the card UI, and lightly placed it under the Searching Cat card. A notification popped up. "Frowny face, would you like to consume this card to help the Searching Cat become stronger?" "Yes," Gu Qingshan replied. "Please pay 100 soul points to trigger the card's evolution." Pay. Following Gu Qingshan's voice, the catnip card slowly scattered into countless glowing particles that were absorbed into the Searching Cat card. A few moments later, a new line of text appeared under the Searching Cat card. "Frowny face, the cat's endurance has greatly increased, about to enter puberty." Gu Qingshan sighed in relief. "Seems like I can help the black cat evolve even further." Jang Young-ho also sensed it and exclaimed in surprise, "The black cat really is changing." "That's right, let us continue." He looked at the second card that black cat can consume. Lola, the second card is… what is it? It's called Love's Touch. What a strange name. Let me see. Lola searched through her backpack for a bit, then her face slowly flushed. She took out a pink card and gave it to Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan felt strange and couldn't help but look at the card. He saw a hand drawn on the card, stretching out an index finger to beckon him. This feeling, Gu Qingshan looked at the war god Ui. Lines of glowing text were displaying the card's attributes. Control card, Touch of Love. This card is a mind control spell. If you use it to pacify your pet, it would be a waste. This is a card used to convey feelings. It's very useful, it can totally… Gu Qingshan didn't want to look at it anymore, so she tossed it into the card interface. Devour, he ordered. 200 soul points were deducted. The card dispersed, turning into many pink spots of light that gradually fused into the searching cat. Below searching cat, a new line of words appeared. Kitty can feel your love and care, and her spiritual power is growing significantly. Gu Qingshan continued to look at the next card. The next card was called Undaunted. From the name alone, I can tell it's a combat-type card. For some reason, Gu Qingshan silently sighed in relief. After he told Lola about it, Lola also quickly found this card. The fusion was successful. The fourth card was Cat Agility. The fifth card was Leopard Speed. The sixth card was Graceful Waltz. Oh no, Gu Qingshan, I don't have the seventh card here. Lola rummaged through her backpack and said, It's fine, I think the black cat should be strong enough after evolving so many times in a row, Gu Qingshan replied. He stared at the searching cat card in his hand. Card. Searching cat, black fur. If the food you take out is to the cat's satisfaction, you can describe what you are looking for to it. It will lead you to that item. A description. This is a cat in puberty. It has obtained sufficient power and is gradually becoming stronger. Description. It is now very grateful to you. Gu Qingshan gave the card to Zhang Yongho. Let's try again, Gu Qingshan said. Zhang Yongho was also very excited and threw the card out. The card fell to the ground and formed a black hole. A black cat crawled out from the hole. Its entire body expanded in size, and it was in high spirit. Its eyes were bright and full of expression. Meow! The black cat let out a powerful cry. Baby, come! Zhang Yongho happily opened his arms, wanting to hug it. But the black cat didn't pay any attention to its owner. Instead, it ran in front of Gu Qingshan, raised its paws and bowed. Gu Qingshan was impressed. This cat is very polite. Gu Qingshan hurriedly said, No need to be so polite. In a bit. Before Gu Qingshan could finish, the black cat had already left him, ran next to Lola's feet, hugged Lola's calf with both paws and rubbed its head against it. Ahaha, it's fine, no need to be so affectionate. Lola smiled and rubbed the cat's head. Meow, the little black cat responded in an ingratiating manner and continued to rub its head against Lin Huang's hand. After a while, it reluctantly stopped. Gu Qingshan crouched down in front of the black cat, cleared his throat and said, I have something I want to find. Meow. The black cat nodded and waited for him to continue. Gu Qingshan continued, I lost a card before, please help me find it. Meow meow meow? Zhang Yongho translated. It's asking what kind of card it is and needs a description, Gu Qingshan replied. It's a large-scale war system card of humanity. A woman wearing a long white dress is depicted on the card. Her name is Water God. The black cat raised its head and looked in all four directions in the void. It doubtfully asked, Meow meow? Meow 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 meow? Zhang Yongho continued to translate. It says it feels strange, the information is a bit unclear, it doesn't know when you lost this card. Gu Qingshan was surprised. It was several 10,000 years ago. Zhang Yongho. Lola? The black cat. The black cat glanced at Gu Qingshan and called out in dissatisfaction, Meow? Meow meow. It wants you to tell me earlier if there's a similar situation next time, Jang Young-ho replied. Gu Qing-shan apologetically said, "Sorry about that, I forgot, please help me look for it." The black cat nodded. It crouched there, staring at the void of space with its round black eyes. A few moments later, the black cat's pupils shrunk into crescent-shaped vertical slits, then completely dispersed to reveal a mass of black fog. It seemed to be observing something. Meow. Meow meow meow. All of a sudden, the black cat raised its paw and pointed in a certain direction. It said it's hard to find, but I still found it. Now change direction and fly in that direction. Jang Young-ho reached his hand out and pointed in the same direction as the black cat. Gu Qing-shan was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "Lola, turn the ship around and fly in the direction black cat is pointing." "All right, I'll go right away," Lola replied. She disappeared in front of everyone. A few moments later, the Queen of Thorns ship drew a long arc in the space vortex, heading in a certain direction. At this point, Jang Young-ho couldn't help but ask, "Qing-shan, I've never heard of a card being able to evolve by devouring other cards. Is this a unique ability of yours?" Gu Qing-shan was in a good mood and smiled. "That's right, in the entire world, there's only one other person who has this ability with me." "There's only one other person besides you?" "That's right, she's a card-type lifeform. In the end, she was the one who gave me this ability." Yi Fei came closer and asked in surprise, "A card-type lifeform? In that case, she can evolve by devouring other cards?" Gu Qing-shan recalled Little Shi's words about becoming stronger and nodded. "That's right, she should be able to evolve this way as well. After all, she's also a card." At this point, Gu Qing-shan went silent. "Wait a minute, I'm also a card." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.